Hello there.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Hope you're well. It's been a nice day so far. I hope your night day's been nice. I know Jones has been stressed out, apparently. But that, you know what? Anxiety, stress, and all that stuff isn't necessarily bad. It keeps you alive, right? Like if you were not worried when the lion came around the corner and it didn't stress you out and didn't create, adrenaline and cortisol and whatnot, and you weren't able to get away, then that would be bad, right? The problem is, Jones's body thinks there's lions everywhere at all times, and there aren't, and that gets a little exhausting. Thinking I need about all I need done. Feel like I'm leaving for the convention tomorrow. Yeah, dude. And the thing is, it's so I feel so alive. It's meant to be fun, right? You're sitting there like, this is going to be fun. I wanted to go to this thing. I plan to go to this thing. It's going to be really cool. And yet at the same time, it's like Christmas, where Christmas is fun. It's a good time. People like Christmas, but at the same time, it's the most emotionally charged time of the year where your brains can just go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs the whole time while you're still having fun. It's humans, man. What are you going to do? Hey, Jesus Saver, good to see you. Sometimes bad things happen for the better. It brings me closer to Jesus. If I had sunshine and rainbows with no stress and a billionaire, there's no way I would ever turn to Jesus. Well, it's harder for a rich man to, that's the idea. But at the same time, the other side of that is, that those who are suffering are automatically closer to Jesus, which isn't true. There's middle ground there. It's okay to want peace. In fact, Jesus said, pray for peace, pray that you'd be reconciled with people. Pray that, when bad stuff happens, it's not, it actually goes away. Like that's okay. It's a good thing that we do that. But at the same time, it's in this world, you will have trouble, right? So yeah, we just got to balance it. And a lot of the stuff that we do when it comes to anxiety and fear and frustration and whatnot is self-imposed, right? As in, like, we're worrying about stuff that we have no control over. We're stressing about things that happened that we can't change, that may never happen, right? That's self-imposed stuff. But then there's also stuff that comes at us that we had nothing to do with, right? And the stress was hoisted upon us out of nowhere, and we have to deal with that. It's a complicated world, and that's why we need each other. Hospital walls hear more prayers than church walls, and people are suffering. They are more likely to come, but when they are well, they go back to their old ways, like church on Sunday and old ways on Monday. Yep, kind of true. There are people out there that when they're going through a good time, they actually can minister pretty well. They do pretty good. I'm very thankful for people who are going through a good time, who have money, who have time, who have energy, who have loved ones, who have not faced, death and struggle, who can, show up and be kind and add energy to places and help people that are going through a hard time. But at the same time, we wouldn't be able to, sort of similar in that we wouldn't be able to serve each other as well if we hadn't gone through stuff. Like, it's the golden going through stuff is the golden ticket to be able to minister to people who were where we are. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about essentially what is the Sabbath? Where does Sabbath come from? What's stress out? What does shopping do to us? Apparently, and what does stillness actually look like? And so, if we're going to put all that kind of stuff together, and hopefully it'll be something that we can walk away a little bit practically with. I hope there's some practicality to it. I haven't gone through the articles all the way. I just kind of scanned them and went, yeah, it looks good. And then grabbed a theme, and we're going to stick with the theme. What do you think the hardest top 3 struggles in human life outside loving God and loving neighbor? Money and lust? I mean, the love of well, like I said, money is not what people want, right? They want something else. They want what money gives them. And so therefore, the pursuit of money is not the pursuit of money. The pursuit of money is the pursuit of something else, like comfort or power or pleasure or something, right? So the world, the flesh, and the devil. it's my answer. but yeah, I know what you mean, right? Like so I would say over comfort. It would be one, as in pursuing comfort for comfort's sake, and believing that is the highest level of achievement. Let's go, He-Man. Yeah, so I'd say I would go comfort, the pursuit of comfort, or pursuit of wrongful comfort, the comfort that stays forever. Hey, that was supposed to work. I'm gonna turn off the cooldown. You know what? I'm gonna turn off the cooldown. I'm gonna do that right now. Twitch points. Which one did you just do? You just did. Shut up and take my money. Edit. Scratch. Points. Cooldown. Cooldowns. Uses no cooldown. Apply. There. Fixed. Right? That should work.
Shut up and take my money.
I even made the sound work today. Hooray for me. So yeah, I'd say that pursuit of comfort, that is, for not a good reason, which, sort of the fear of discomfort, that'd be a bad one. The taking from others that which is not yours, whether it be work or whether like they're supposed to do the job, but you're doing it for them, or they're supposed to have that, but you took it from them, or God gave you two of them and you're supposed to share one of them, but you're not sharing one of them. You're keeping both. So the lack of distribution of your, time, talent, treasure to the people that you are supposed to be serving. So lack of service and believing other people will serve you. And then what would be the third one? Third one would be, I mean the universal catch-all, I'll say it, but like pride, basically thinking that you know better than God, and you know better than wise people, and you know better than the educators, and you know better than people who have been down that road, and people that you just think you're better, smarter, and better than everybody, and that your plan, even though it hasn't worked for anybody else, is going to work for you, and even though God says it's not a good idea, it's a good idea for you, and even though everybody in your life is like, this is a terrible plan, you're like, I'm smarter than everybody, and I'm going to do it anyway, right? Like, I would say that. So those are my three. Got to stay humble lest we corrupt and compromise our values. If you stay humble and you're willing to listen and you're willing to accept that maybe you're wrong and maybe other people have an opinion that is better than yours, or they have perspective better than yours, your life will be infinitely better. If you are over humble, I guess if you're like a doormat, or if you don't have a will of your own kind of thing, or you don't have the tenacity, the stick-to-itiveness, or the boundaries or whatever, that everybody can tell you what to do, whatever, and you're codependent on all over the place, and the only, you want everybody to be happy, you're going to be miserable there too, right? At some point you have to go this far and no further. No, this is the correct thing I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm going to do that. I don't care what anybody else says. Like, that's still part of it. But so many people are essentially, the believing that they're the best navigators of their life. And we're not. We are not good navigators of our life. When we try to navigate our own life in a vacuum, no educators, no teachers, no pastors, no elders, no grandparents, no parents, no other, nothing from the other gender, nothing from other countries, nothing from history. We're just like us. That's a recipe for disaster. But if you know history and you listen to the other gender, and you listen to old people and young people, and you listen to pastors and elders and mature people and wise people, and you listen to, if you're willing to listen and you're willing to accept that maybe assimilating all of their information wouldn't be a terrible idea, you're going to have a better time, right? You're going to have a better time. That's what we're doing here, right? Every Monday, we basically go, the Bible knows better than us. Let's listen to it. And history has taught us some stuff, right? And then on Wednesday we go, what do psychiatrists and psychologists, and what do studies, and what do some authors and whatnot say about just life in general, and what can we walk away with? I believe very, very strongly that if we work together and we listen to each other, then we will have a much better life. And helping and serving. Hello, Samus. It's good to see you. Welcome to the stream. I have been trying to fix stuff. ! Taco needs. Let's try that. Here's a brand new command. ! Taco needs. See what happens. There it is. Son of a gun. Even animated, for crying out loud. Boy, oh boy. I'm good at stuff. Woman, the Samus person. The Samus. Ninja preaching on rage so much you should hit the gym and grunt, clank, and bang. It doesn't hurt if you you have so much energy in the day, and if you don't expend it on stuff, you might expend it on things that you shouldn't be expending it on. And there's a lot to be said for moving around in the sunshine. Yeah. Not that I can say anything. I'm terrible at going out of my house and getting exercise and doing things that, like whatnot. I tend to live up here, and I tend to believe that whatever I do in this room is all that counts in my life. That like, if I go do things out there, it doesn't count because it's not on stream and it's not for ministry and it's not going to help, whatever. And it's a waste kind of thing. And so therefore, yeah, I definitely need more sun. I need more going out of the place time. That I do. That is going to be something that is a trouble, and it's something I need to change. I know that. It's like the David thing, right? Like David got in trouble because he was in his house where he shouldn't have been, right? He should not have been in his house. There's the taco needs, by the way. Here it is. So we need your help to get, it'd be great to help bring me and Snack Girl down to be able to serve at Taco. It's expensive to get down there. It's a lot of deal to get down there. Plus, we're going to, we got to buy some stuff to be able to serve the people in the Taco Tranquility Room. All that stuff it costs money. We could use some help. Down at the bottom there, you'll see !reach. That'll give you a link if you want to help us out. We're trying to raise $10,000, which is banana pants. And I will get on that. I promise I'll get on that and I'll start talking to some people with deeper pockets. But if you want to help, that would be lovely. If not, totally cool. We've got it under control. God's got a plan. And we're all going anyway. That's the thing, right? We're all going anyway. And so we'll be down there. It's just the question is, will you be willing to help us, or is this going to be a thing where it sucks it out of my savings and things like that? Exercise is painful, but I might do some shallow squats. Yeah, anything, right? Like, and that's I've seen enough and read enough about it that it's not a matter of exercising and lifting the right whatever. It's just move around, man. It's all they want you to do. Move around a little bit. And consistently, like your phone or whatever, if you have an app that tells you to move around, it's like 1 minute every half an hour. Not that big a deal, right? When the doctors or whoever says, you need to go for a walk, they're not saying go for a walk for 7 hours. It's just do 20 minutes, right? I'm going to see why that didn't work. Hold on. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the sub. Frame alerts. We're going to try this. Because it worked yesterday. I spent some time trying to figure this thing out. There, it works now. Okay. I know you heard it. I didn't hear it. And it's helpful if I hear it too. Thank you, Pastor Greg. Very kind of you. I hate extra, but I do some exercises to keep me from feeling. Well, you go out. Like, your job gets you out of the house. You go do things, right? You actually go places. So that's helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that, Conroy. Thank you for the sub, my dude. Look at all that. That is a lot of tacos. Where did you get those? Look at all them tacos. Oh, I love that. Bosch Anger. Who's Bosch? Bosch Angles. Is that somebody I know? Raid. That's cool. Little crying guy, little scared taco, little GG taco. That's super neat. I really like that. Oh, that's a hype taco. That's really cool. You want to have sick today? Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Well, you know what? How's your job with that? Is your job now flexible enough that you can actually say that and, it's like, hey, I'm not doing well, so I'm not gonna be able to make the call today? Or is your job as such that you could actually do some of it while sick? Because that's a bummer. Hi, sick, I'm dad. That was the correct response. I appreciate that, Pastor G. You're awesome. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some big topics today. But before that, it's always AMA. If you guys have anything you want to bring up, please do. It's good. Yesterday was a good talk. Monday was a good talk. I've really been enjoying it. This whole new thing where I just kind of grab some articles and we kind of work through them in videos and whatnot. Thoroughly been enjoying it. Yes, I miss games. I really do. But at the same time, I'm really enjoying the talks that we have. I hope you are too. And if you are, ! Tell a friend, ! Support. Always could use it. I'm going to be in conversations with folks to be able to get some help, because February is coming. I don't know if I told you, in February, I'm losing my nonprofit status because the system that I'm working through is ending. And so therefore I got to figure some stuff out. I am figuring some stuff out. That's the way it is. Brain not here, tummy feel turny. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then yeah, take a break, man. Lie down, have yourself some ginger ale. Job is okay as long as I make up the points. Yeah, okay, that's cool. The point system. Oh, that's neat. All right, neat. That's good. Good flexibility. So yeah, the other thing I was asked to be a keynote speaker at a conference, which I think is very, very cool and also very, very anxiety producing. Somebody contacted me and they're like, actually, it was interesting because I was asked to speak there. You know, they're like, would you speak? And I'm like, I'll speak. Talking is fun. And then they got back to me. They're like, based on what you said and based on blah, 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 and what you've done, and we read your book and stuff like that, would you keynote this conference? And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but yes, you know, because you gotta get out there. Taco needs me to go out places. Every time I'm like, man, I'm a bad taco person who's not tacoing hard enough for taco. I remember that I actually am doing things. It's just, it doesn't all happen in the Discord. That's the difference, right? That's the difference. It's it's okay with the team. I'll be, you know, I do stuff. I do. Yeah, exclamation point. So this is my new thing. I don't know if you saw it. Exclamation point taco needs. And that's the battle pass, by the way. So the battle pass, which I think is just such a fun idea, is depending on how much we raise, bad things happen to people. I'm going to show you guys. Here, we're going to pull this up. Let's see if we can find 2. Is it this one? Yeah. So this is the battle pass, and it's going to be fun. So if we raise 500, this is the little goal here. Like you see on the like down over there. I'm doing with my mouse. I'm so dumb. Down there's the goal, and we're trying to get to 10,000. Trying to get 10,000. So at 500, it's we're gonna dye ukulele's hair blue. Okay, like that's gonna be something. Okay, the dunk tank. So we're actually talking to we're talking to Reach, and so like when you come to Reach, I will be in a dunk tank that you'll be able to throw balls at and make me fall in the water, and I will be making fun of you. That is the job of a dunk tank person, is to make you mad enough to dunk the person. That's the idea. That's the whole shtick, right? The makeover for Samus happens at 1500. I don't know exactly what that means. Samus, can you fill us in as to exactly what that is? You don't look thrilled about it. I'll tell you this. That is not the face of somebody who's excited about whatever's about to happen. You know, something. I don't know what's gonna happen, but that is the plan. If we can get to 1500, if we hit 2K, this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal, huge deal. We're gonna cut Quiz's hair. And if you know anything about Quiz, there are very few things you can know about Quiz just by you know. But there's one thing he's got a lot of it. Has a lot of hair, right? I'll be fabulous, darling. I hope so. All right. So the next one, Team Taco Stream Cosplay Edition, legit cosplay, not someone in a headband. But we're actually going to shoot for real, like actual cosplay, which will be good because I need to figure out what I'm going to cosplay for Comic-Con coming up. I've wanted to cosplay for years, and I don't know who I look like or what I look like, other than, you know, maybe Iroh, pre-workout Iroh. And other than that, we'll figure something out. Samus will get glamorous and glorious makeup done by a special guest, and she'll wear that and a dress for a while. Reach. Wow, I thought it was like an on-stream thing. Wow, that's cool. Dress needs to have pockets. I mean, obviously, the dress needs to have pockets. It's the only thing that makes the dress good. You can have a bad dress if it's got pockets. It's good. For those not at Reach, all these things will be shared with you by Eclipse and Shorts on the Discord. Yeah, you will see it. You will see it. The cosplay though is a stream, right? I'm not wrong about that. That's happening in like cosplay on stream. 6,000. We're gonna do a Taco Team 80s party. I actually don't know what that is. I should have read what this stuff is before I started talking about it. Taco Team stream mystery theme. We're gonna figure that one out, I guess. And then super secret surprise at the end. You can see some of these are less specific because we spent all of our big energy at the front. So, in the meantime, here's something. Exponential Bean Boozled. Quiz eats exponentially more beans for every 1,000 reach. He'll have 1 bean for 1,000, 2 beans for 2,000, 4 beans for 4,000. Can you get him to eat 10 beans at the same time? I think he might die. That might be the end of Quiz. Last time we ever see him. He'll be bald and lying on the floor, gurgling from the mouth, talking about how his mouth tastes like, vomit and dish soap and grass, which is, that's fun. So let's do that. So there you go. Exclamation point. He said he would. I know, right? That was his idea. We didn't even ask him. Yeah, so he's going to do that. This is the intention is not just to get us down there to reach. The intention is that we get to bless some folks and help some folks and run the Taco Tranquility Room, which is set as a place set aside for folks who are struggling with mental health stuff or social anxiety or need a place to go crash. We believe very strongly that our ministry, our mission when we get down to reach isn't to promote taco, but to serve the creators that are there. And so we were creating an entire room, and we got a whole plan to be able to serve the content creators that are there. And a lot of you understand what it's like to go to a place, get stressed out, and wish you had a place to go, as opposed to your car or outside or wander off by yourself. What if you were able to go to kind of a quieter room that was still at the event, and you're able to kind of come around and tuck yourself into a nice little space while you chill out for a bit like that? That's what we're trying to offer. We have big plans where, furniture and dividers and comforty things and coloring books and like all kinds of really cool ideas, but they're all going to cost money. So that's why we're trying to raise money for that, to serve more people. Yes, the most of it's meant to serve people in the room. I just, be nice if I could get down there too and not have to blow my wad on. Yeah, because I'm just spending my money on my face. They're going to want a bunch of money just so I can fix my teeth. That's going to be fun tomorrow. Okay, so that's that. The big thing is flying in from Canada. Furniture obviously is a big one for the Taco Tranquility Zone. Getting the fidget toys, coloring books, comfort items for the Tranquility Zone, that is a big one. Like, so we want it to be a place that's really hospitable, and then reimburse taco team and other volunteers for travel and lodging. So when we get the taco team down, they will be serving, right? That's the thing. The taco team is making the point that they are going to be taking the hit when they're there to take time away from their conference experience that they're going down to in order to be able to serve people. And I think it would be great if we as a community were be able to put together just a thank you for them to be able to say, hey, you know what, why don't we pay for your meal, or why don't we, pay for your ticket kind of thing. That'd be rad. That'd be kind of rad. Reaches, if you are going to reach exclamation point, reach, and you can find my code and you can find, whatever. But if you want to use anybody else's code, that's totally fine too. All right, end of ad. But that, it's a big deal. I'm excited about it. Yeah, but doing the keynote thing is interesting. I was invited to do a breakout, and I was invited to do a keynote, and I'm leaving in 2 weeks to go and speak at a church. And there's a lot happening, man. I've got a lot going on when it comes to things that I've been invited to do. A little nervous making, but it is something that I believe that I think I can do. I think I could do a good job. I'm a little nervous because public speaking, though I have done it for like the majority of my life and career, is still makes me nervous. Still does. Okay, let me pray. We'll switch up the music to the same stuff we always do. A little bit of jazz. And as we listen to the jazz, we're going to be talking about Asmund Gold stuff. We're going to talk about stillness. We're going to talk about shopping, and we're going to talk about what does rest even look like? Because a lot of us struggle with it. Let me pray, and then do me a favor. Hey, not while I'm praying. If you want to, you can. But now would be a really good time that if you know a content creator, or you know somebody who is stressed out, or you know somebody who is struggling with some stuff, why don't you just take a minute, throw them a DM in the Discord, throw them a thing on X, throw them something on whatever way you contact them, and just kind of say, hey, XtianNinja is going to be going through some stuff about resting and about Sabbath and about burnout and about, kind of ways that we can feel a little bit better, maybe you'd want to show up, right? Everybody knows somebody who's going through some of this stuff, and it's a big problem. So this is a good time to do that. If you'd be willing, that'd be great. I'll pray. God, thank you for the day, for your love, and for the connection that we can have to each other through you, that you've given us such an amazing family that we could spend eternity with. I pray for those who are listening that don't know you, that you'd bless them with inspiration to see your word as truth and to feel your presence and understand your salvation, and for us to be able to show them great love. I pray for this stream that as we try to talk about resting in you and what even rest is, that you draw people from around the internet, draw creators and just individuals who need to know what rest is. Help discovery happen so that people who need serving and need a community can find it. And I pray that you'd help my words be actually helpful. Amen. Blue juiced. We are going to do something a little fun later. I got this. Have you heard of this yet? Have you guys seen this? I know I'm a little late to the party, but I just discovered them. They just, to me, they just started showing up in the Walmarts in Canada and other stores in Canada. The Tony's Chocolonely. Have you heard of that yet? Apparently it was a fad about a year ago on TikTok and all the socials. And it was essentially, what's cool about it is chocolate that is sourced properly, pays their owners and all the rest of that stuff, but also has it's got a really cool pattern on it. It's you know what, I can show you. I'll just show you right now because I'm talking about it here. Before we get started, because I happen to be talking about it. They've done something a little different with their packaging, right? So they're an explanation of what they do, right? Share a chocolate, share our story. They're in cocoa farms in West Africa, 1.6 million children involved in child labor in Guyana and Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, root cause of poverty. And so they're trying to trying to use the power of chocolate, which everybody loves, in order to help them. They're committed to ending exploitation in cocoa, which is rampant, right? If you look at sort of Nestle and you look at other chocolate places, they'll do the thing like kind of that they do with climate, in that they'll be like, well, we'll pay. We'll pay the fine, or we'll pay the whatever. We'll pay that, the thing that makes it okay for us to do the evil stuff. Anyway. And so if you can find ways that you can, work around that'd be great. Is it a little bit more expensive? It certainly is. We set the standard by sourcing 5 sourcing principles. They include paying higher prices for cocoa long-term to enable farmers to earn a living, using 100% traceable beans to drive down child labor, prevent deforestation. Right? They're trying their best. So if you have access to this stuff, take a look at it. I don't know much about the company, but I'll show you something cool that I learned yesterday from their chocolate bar. And I thought it was kind of neat. The bar itself isn't split into steal jobs from little children forced into labor. Won't somebody think of the children? What about the child laborers? Yeah, check this out. So this is what the chocolate bar actually looks like, right? And it's designed in such a way to the way that they talk about it is they want it to represent the inequity of chocolate, the chocolate industry, right? That trying to give, other chocolate bars, they actually have, everybody gets an even piece. They don't do that. That's not how chocolate is. That's not how chocolate farming is. They also have, apparently this section, I think right here, is meant to represent the South Africa or something. Like, design. You gotta appreciate a company that puts a little thought into what they do and why they do it. So that's very cool. Very, very cool. Sorry about this. I didn't mean to do an entire, 2 entire ads, but I think it's kind of cool. It's fun to kind of bring that stuff up. I will try it. Hold on. I haven't actually tried it yet. Big chocolate bar too. It's like a Wonka bar. Yep. That's good chocolate. Right? Like, I didn't think it was going to be bad. Milky and a little bit sugarier than say a Hershey's or a Cadbury. A little bit sweeter, but still good. You know, you need chocolate. That's good chocolate, and you're helping people. Okay, let's go through this. So this is Asmund Gold.
Hello there.
Hello there. Good to see you, Hannah. So Asmund Gold is considering taking a break. This is something that he has talked about, you know, how much work he does. You see him all the time. Like, he's got a million videos every day. He's on all the time. He's constantly under pressure. He's doing all kinds of stuff. And apparently his home life is also stressful, right? Does the golden ticket mean we get to have a chocolate harvesting experience? The golden ticket actually gets you one of the children. They'll just send you one to your house. It's fun. Congratulations. Here's a child. And so I'm gonna play the video. Forgive me, it starts with a cuss word. I don't know. I can't make him not start with a cuss word. So just, if that bothers you, then I'm sorry. But let's just hear from him about what's going on.
Like, I'm fucking fried. I'm totally fried. I do my best to be live every day and to, you know, be as consistent as I can be. But like, man, it is getting really hard for me to do. And you deserve a break. I mean, and if I take a break, I it's probably going to be for a really long time.
When I was going through burnout, the word fried came up a lot. I used the word fried, but the other word that I kept using was whatever. There were two, you know, it was like, I'm fried. I'm so toast. I'm so done. I'm so wrecked. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. And then when I got really bad, it became whatever. And that's where it became dangerous. I've talked about this before, but so I won't do too much. But essentially, when I really got to burnout, like actual burnout, before it was, man, I'm really tired. Then it was, man, I'm really feeling it. And then, oh, I'm absolutely toasted, my body, and wow. And then it hit whatever. When I hit whatever, it didn't matter what people were saying or doing to me. That didn't matter at all. Thank you for the lurk. It was, you want to hurt me, or you want to take from me, or you want to renegotiate stuff that we agreed on. Okay, I'd be like, whatever. I don't even care. Whatever. The worst one was when they'd been going through meetings with me for like, I don't know, a year and a half or something. And they promised me when we started that it would be all behind closed doors and they wouldn't release anything and we can all be open with each other. And after a year and a half, I was burnt out like crazy. And they all, you know, the geniuses at the church were like, hey, we've decided to release all the notes to everybody in the church. You cool with that? But because I was so burnt out, so done, I didn't have the ability to argue or fight for myself or anything. It was just, I was alone and I just felt bad. I literally, whatever, do whatever you want. And I couldn't do it. So if he's caring for, like, he's got a big channel, he's got a big community, he's apparently caring for his dad kind of thing. And if that's where he's at, you don't want to reach whatever. Because as soon as you reach whatever, you're making really bad decisions for people that you might care about or things that are going to affect your future in a really severe way. So I appreciate a guy who is able to go, I'm toast, I'm tired, I'm so done, there's a lot going on and I don't know what to do with myself, but I just know that I need help, right? Or I need a break. And he's about to say, you know, like, if he leaves, he ain't coming back anytime soon. And I appreciate that, because when I left, like when I had burnout, I've done it twice because it was so fun the first time. I wanted to do it again. I went on break. And I was sent for 3 months, 3 month of break as a sabbatical. I actually ended up, there were other churches that paid for my sabbatical because the church I was serving wouldn't. They refused, and they were just going to keep squeezing me until I died. And so other pastors were willing to help me out. So, you know, very thankful for that. When I was there, about 2 weeks in, I remember thinking, man, this is dumb. Oh, why am I even on sabbatical? Well, like, this is so stupid. I've had my rest. I feel absolutely, you know, I'm restless. I don't know what to do with myself. Because I've been on nonstop, you know, every meetings constantly, and Sunday and weekly and other meetings and more things and people and troubles for a long time. And it was, when I had nothing to do, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself, man. Thankfully, I think it was the Olympic? No, I think it was the World Cup. I think the World Cup in Brazil, I think, was on. and they, there's something to watch at least. But I felt just absolutely stir crazy, and then, but I couldn't. I couldn't go back. It was meant to be 3 months. After 3 months, when I got to the 3-month mark, I'd started to feel it. Started to feel what burnout felt like. I started to feel the weight of the emotions, the weight of the anger, the weight of the fatigue, the weight of the hurt, the anxiety and the fear of just everything to do with that ministry and with the people and with all the rest of that stuff. I started to feel it. Took 3 months before I decompressed enough to get to the place where I could actually feel myself what was actually going on inside, right? And yeah, well, it makes it hard to come back if you're doing it as a hobby and you fill it with other stuff. And yeah, exactly. But like for me, going back to the church was my career. It was my calling. And so going back but I was feeling it. Even a year later, I still hadn't worked through all the stuff that I've been doing. It had in my heart. Even 2 years later, I remember 2 years later, I was sitting in a meeting in a different church, pastoring a different church, and they were very lovely people. And it was our first, like I think it was around Christmas or whatever. And they started talking about, we have to do next year's budget. And that includes talking about the pastor's salary. It was just a comment, it wasn't like anything because yes, that's what you do. You got to talk about the money and I'm part of the money. And I burst out in tears, man. I was sobbing, just a wreck. And of course, everybody on the board looks up and what is wrong with Pastor Al? What just happened? Right. And so I threw sobs and after calming myself down, I'm like, it's not you guys. This is pain from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, stuff that I haven't dealt with, stuff that I haven't processed, stuff that still hurts. And so, talking about this break for 6 months, if he's under that much pressure, 6 months it might be enough to process some of it. But if he's not going to process it healthily, or he's just going to distract himself, or he's just going to game, or he's just going to, take more responsibilities on, or he's going to try to write a book or something, he's not going to get out of it what he needs to, because all the stuff that's inside he's not dealing with. He has to take time away, get some counseling, get some mentoring, figure out his life, figure out his health, figure out his environment, figure out what he's going through, where his energy went and where it's going to come from. That it needs to be a time of self-discovery and break and stillness and Sabbath, as opposed to just be not streaming anymore. Because it's really easy, like sort of nature aborts a vacuum situation, where when you stop this thing, the enemy, I believe, spiritually speaking, the enemy is going to want to cram in as much trouble and temptation and distraction and whatever is possible, so the brain doesn't decompress, so the brain doesn't have the chance to figure itself out, to untie all the knots, figure out where the emotions are coming from, figure out where the relations are, figure out where the support system is, figure out who's actually pulling life away from you that you need to sever off, people that you've severed in your life that you should have brought back because you weren't making good decisions. What in your content, what in your life, what in your schedule, what in your plan isn't actually working for you, right? Like I'm just doing it because I have to do it because I've always done it. Turns out it's actually not life-giving. It's life-sucking, and it's not helping anybody. And now I can see that clearly because I've taken time to do that. 6 months is probably, barely enough. Fortunately, he's got the money and he's got the time and he's got the community to be able to do that. Not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people do, which is why what we're talking about today is more of a smaller version of this. But I appreciate that a guy who has been working very, very hard, and a guy who's been trying to figure out sort of the world and life and how things, trying to give his heart to a community is feeling it, especially with his father, which he'll talk about.
Honestly, probably months. I don't know. I mean, I just it's been really bad, and I don't even want to, but I feel like life circumstances and what's been happening to me in my personal life, I just don't see a way to. I don't see a way to do all of that and not fucking continue killing myself, right?
And you can't. That really is the truth. I can't see a way to continue what I'm doing without actually continuing to burn out. That is true, and that's part of the problem. Is essentially what that is I have structured my life in such a way that the lack of structure, or the lack of boundaries, or the lack of me taking control of it, or it being out of control on my behalf because someone else did it. Because if you got a sick person, that kind of pulls from, you didn't have a choice in that. I have not figured that out yet. And all I am is expending more than I'm bringing in. And as I expend more than I bring in, I don't know how to keep going. Right? I don't know how this is going to work. And you can see, and I remember being able to see myself that it was something bad's going to happen. You start having thoughts that you've never had before. Like, I don't want to be around anymore. I don't want to be hurt anymore, and I don't want to quit. And the only way I can, because it's a ministry and because it's a calling, I can't quit. So the only way I can do this is to die. I wonder how I can die. I want to leave. Just like all these thoughts that you never thought you'd have before are suddenly coming into your brain. And where are they coming from? They're coming from the desire for release, the desire for getting out of the situation, the desire for just relief from the bad, or relief from the stress, or even the good. There could be good stuff too, but relief from all of it. There's too much of it. And him going, I don't know. I just don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know what's going to happen, is a sign of going, things are out of control right now. And I've been able to hold it together through my talent and through my tenacity and through, getting some help or doing stuff with my sheer force of will. And that sheer force of will is wearing out. It's wearing out, and I'm wearing out. I don't know how much longer I can do this, which is a cry for help. It's a cry for, I need a break.
And so, yeah, that's it. I don't know yet, but that's really 6 months. I hope it would be that short. I don't know, man. Take a week, bro. Well, I don't know. Take a break.
Week, bro. Oh, and so there's another thing, right? If you have a community of people that depends on you, and as a pastor, I did, have a community of people that depended on me. They needed me there every single week. There'll be people who, out of their kindness, out of their generosity, out of saying, we need you, we love you, we want the best for you, will try to take, will be like, yeah, go have your week, and then come back and continue to serve. And in their mind, they're being super generous. You're like, but what they're actually contributing to is the guilt of leaving, right? Like, if you leave for any longer than 2 weeks, I'm going to fall apart. If you leave for any longer than 2 weeks, your whole thing's going to fall apart. This whole church, this whole life, this whole ministry, everything's going to fall apart. So you can have a week, and a week is just, like, that isn't even enough to start to scratch the surface of what's going on. But him 6 months, I don't know. My daughter was watching someone. Oh, it was a very pretty funny girl who she ended up going on a break, and she ended up with breast cancer, and she ended up she left for like 2 or 3 years, right? She just started posting here a few months ago. I wish I could remember her name. But she, she left and she just didn't come back. Right. And I think I watched the video with her where she did come back, and it was like, I was like, I was really enjoying not doing this. And then I got to the point after so many years where I kind of miss the fun part. And so when she came back, she didn't come back to the grind, and she didn't come back to the calendar and come back to whatever. She just came back and she's like, I'm going to do this for fun now, which she could, because she's got $1 zillion in the bank and all kinds of really cool stuff. It was, but she could do that. And so it talking about, how long is this going to take? Could take a while. And he has the freedom to do so, which is really good. By God's grace, he'll go and he'll find not only himself and good boundaries. Hopefully he'll find faith, understand Sabbath, be able to lean on God, lean on others, lean on community, be able to figure out his life through a biblical worldview, so he can find Sabbath. But regardless, it's needed.
Be there for a bit. Well, I mean, I'll let you guys know that, the stream and everything, it's not. It's mainly about there's no stress that my stream really creates. I mean, yes, obviously, there's a degree of if you're sitting and talking nonstop and thinking nonstop for 6 to 8 hours a day, that is mentally draining. It is. It's mentally draining to do it. And by the end of it, I'm pretty tired. But that's not really the reason why. It's everything else besides that. And so, yeah, you're always on. Yeah, you don't. It's a bandwidth issue, but it's mainly.
It's everything else as well as that. Is the point, right? Everything else as well as not just besides that. Like there are times, and I know this is true because when I get on stream, there are times before I get on stream, I feel like crap. And there are times that at night, after supper, I don't feel great. I'm tired. I'm miserable. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm listless. And yet for the 4 hours, or I guess the 6 hours in between, prep and doing stream, I feel great. I feel like I have a purpose, and then I'm on stream and I'm talking to community and your names come up and I feel good about that. It makes me feel happy and it's very good. It's a very good feeling. But at the same time, it does have a drain, right? There is a drain. If you're going to do it well, if you're going to do anything well, even if it's have fun, even if it's plan a party, it's going to be taxing because just you trying to do it well is going to be pulling uphill.
The time, right? And that's really what's going on. Mental break? Yeah, I have no idea. Make it third channel? No, I'm gonna totally like if I stopped, I would maybe tweet
Another channel. And this is why you have to get away. So when I got away from the church, right, it was they were they weren't allowed to contact me. I wasn't allowed to go to work. There was like a very clear defined no. You leave him alone and you don't go to work, so it's fine. You're allowed to not do that, which was super weird because I'd been ministering nonstop for a long time. And it's like, who am I now? Like that was an identity crisis, right? Who am I now? What am I doing? What do I do with my life? Who am I when I'm at home? Who am I when I'm not, Pastor Al? What is this? Have I lost it all? There's so much going on. It is start a third channel. Oh, people, dude.
right? But other than that, I just don't know. But it's just been completely, like most days, by the time that I get home, I'm so tired and exhausted. I just eat my food and fall asleep on the floor. That's it. That's all I do. And I don't go out. I don't do anything. And it's every single day.
See, that's not a good sign. And I'll tell you from the perspective of a very lonely person, lonely in ministry is lonely. If you go to, and so is streaming for that matter, you go look at the statistics for pastors, say, 9 out of 10 don't have a friend, right? Things like that. They haven't, had a social engagement in forever. They don't have a hobby. Everything is just like work and ministry. And so in the same way, content creation very much so is, always on, the grind is real, et cetera, et cetera. And so for him, kind of going, I do what I need to for the sake of my community, for the sake of my content, for the sake of the agreements that I've made, and then I am done. That means that he is only expelling. And then at the end, he's done. Like, it's almost like you have gas in the tank and you sleep, and that, puts in your tablespoon of gas, and you just kind of try to go on that all day. And then at the end, and you just done your car. Like, that is not good for any machine. That is not good for anything. At some point, you have to figure out how to get more than you're trying to ask from. And that's deeply unhealthy. It's unhealthy for your body. It's unhealthy for your mind. It's unhealthy for your community. It's unhealthy for your spirit. It's just categorically unhealthy. And then the compensation for that, what you end up doing to try to fill that gap, is caffeine, is trying to, self-comfort with, whatever bad stuff, is trying to use the power of anger or the power of trying to hype yourself up, or, like emotional push on yourself to make yourself feel so you have the adrenaline so you can get through, kind of thing. And you end up just being miserable. That's why you look at these people who are on the edge of burnout. They are grumpy, and they are just not happy people. It's because that they're just trying to get through the day, and the way that they're trying to cope is through stimulants and frustration. That's what they're powered by right now, and the rest of it is just dead air.
And so make a third channel is wild. And so it's just like, I don't know. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I just want to let you guys know, that's something I have been considering. I haven't made a decision on it, and I don't want to do it. But sometimes I feel like, especially when I have days like I did yesterday, it's almost like inevitable.
It should be inevitable, right? So that's one of the signs, is that you are hitting this wall of, there's nothing left at the end of the day. There's nothing left at the end of the week. There's nothing left at the end of the stream. I can, or the content, or the Sunday, or the whatever your thing is. And I feel it. your spirit, your mind, your brain, your body is going, you gotta pull back, man. You gotta pull back. And if you don't listen, biggest piece of advice, if you don't take a break yourself, your body will take one for you, and you're not gonna like that one, right? Your mind will take one for you, and you're not gonna like that one. You either take one willfully. It's sort of like grief, right? When you go through death, right? You go through someone died, you will grieve. You don't have a choice whether you'll grieve. You get a choice to grieve healthily, or you get a choice to grieve unhealthily, but you will grieve. You try to put that off and pretend it doesn't happen. All you're going to do is do it badly. Same thing with rest, same thing with Sabbath, same thing with burnout, right? You are going to burn out. It's going to happen. You feel it. Question is, are you going to deal with it in a healthy way, in a managed way, in a mentored way, in a way that it works for you? Or are you going to do it in a way that is actually where your body just gives up? Your body gives up. Now you have stomach ulcers, and now your cortisol has ruined all your joints, and now you have insomnia, and now you're taking 12 kinds of pills just so that you can get through the day, and now you burnt out your adrenal glands, and you burnt out all of the stuff that keeps you going, and it doesn't physically work anymore, which means you can't rally. There's no rally left because you actually wrecked that part of your brain and your body. You're just done. That will happen. That it does happen. And the trick is to not let it. The trick is to not let it. Right? I honestly hope that he is able to find rest and able to find good counsel and takes the break that he needs, because and I hope he doesn't listen to those people in this community. Just start a third channel. Maybe in the context of that one, but that was like the worst advice I've ever heard. Anyway, okay, we'll continue on to the next thing. I'll read you your stuff. There have been a couple big YouTubers. Sorry, much easier to manage injuries and avoid humans for me, but I'm glad everyone can cope around burnout. I don't get that emotion. You are human, therefore it will happen, right? That's the thing. If maybe you're managing well and you haven't felt it yet, but we humans as a species can only take so much. We are all like that. It's a chemical thing. It's like you only have so much adrenaline. You only have so much the physical energy. You only have so much the serotonin and dopamine and the your body's ability to function. You only got so much. It's just you're gonna be in trouble if you don't acknowledge that. And you go through a lot, Conroy, like a lot. You must be a very strong person because of how much you go through and are able to keep going. But it doesn't mean you're a robot, right? You have to face humanity at some point. Ukulele says there've been a couple of big YouTubers my hubby and I watched who have retired, quote unquote, retired from YouTube. The most recent his reason was that he couldn't do it and do family right, and family was more important. That's an extreme. Like there it is possible. It's just hard because with content creation or with the ministry, with anything, you feel like you're always letting someone down. I remember when I was, my wife was in the hospital, my kids were at home, and when I was at the hospital, taking care of my wife and visiting her, I felt guilty for not being at home taking care of my kids. And then when I was at home taking care of my kids, I felt guilty because I wasn't at the hospital taking care of my wife. And when I was on the road in between, I felt even worse because I wasn't anywhere. I wasn't helping anybody. I wasn't doing anything. I think in the same way, the way that you kind of see these extremes and you're without the boundaries and without the forethought is you see, I can either do content creation correctly or I can do my life and family correctly. It is impossible to do both, right? What I read into what you've said is essentially, I've been doing content creation correctly, but not my family. So I need to compensate by working on this. But the thing is, the healthy life is working on this, working on your family, but figuring out how the part that you love and the thing that you feel called to do works into that. where it is possible. It's hard, but it's not impossible. I appreciate the extremity, and if he has the ability to just kind of go and work on his family for a while, that'd be great. But even that's hard. Can you imagine going from, not talking to your family at all to being around them 24/7? Nobody would enjoy that. That is not not something you're good at. You're going to make them tired by trying to do stuff with them. You're going to, it's going to be, you got to find your time to be apart and be together. Euclid says that is actually what many employers have as a legal requirement for medical leave. You aren't allowed to do any kind of work. Yeah. Well, I mean, like even insurance, right? Like there are people who they go and they get their insurance because they or whatever because they got hurt, and then you're like, well, I just want to do something, and then they, well, if you can do something, go to work. Yeah, you're supposed to stay home. Banana says, that sounds exactly like me right now. I'm going to listen and maybe sleep. All right, rock and roll. Have a nap, man. Have a nap. Okay, let's jump into psychology today, which is when you stop doing, life speaks. I'm going through this. Yeah, we're going to be doing, there's a Christian article at the end here called We've Reached Peak Content, Now What? But we're going to talk a little bit about psychology today and what it means to stop doing. I appreciate Psychology Today, and the reason is not because I'd rather listen to them than the Bible, or I think that a bunch of secular psychologists are giving better advice than spiritual counselors or Christian ones. It's because they're covering a lot of ground, and they're doing it from the perspective of, listen, we've done the study, we've looked into this stuff, we've watched 1,000 people go through this is how it works, and it's hard to argue with that, right? Yes, maybe some of their conclusions can be dubious, maybe some of their conclusions can be a little wacky or, based on weird stuff, but I think it has value. And that's why I go through it. We'll take it from we'll try to take it from a biblical worldview, but I appreciate when secular, atheist or whatever scientists go, what God says is actually true. Like when you stop doing, when you take Sabbath, when you take a rest, when you step away, God is there, life is there, good things happen. So you have to do that. The Bible is full of that, rest, all over scripture. Stop. Wait. There's non-stop in scripture telling you to pause. Connor said, God have said so much abusive things on Christian streamers or overweight streamers, and I'm both. So there you go. Woke up with the idea of commenting movie trailers while eating. During prayer time, I asked them to get over their use of the word cope as self-harm. Lost me at the last sentence there. That sounds fun though. Commenting on movie trailers while eating. That sounds fun. But you're right. It's rough to be a public figure regardless. If you have a microphone, if you stand on a stage, or if people see you, there's going to be somebody who wants to crap in your cornflakes just for fun. That's what they do. Power of doing nothing. How stillness unlocks natural intelligence. Here's the key points. Doing nothing quiets the noise, creating stillness needed to hear your own inner wisdom speak. Your natural intelligence isn't created. It's remembered when you silence the mind's anxious chatter. That's hard to say. Transformation comes from subtraction, not addition. Let go of performance to reveal your true essence. Stillness reveals you are not separate from life, but are a part of nature remembering itself. That sounds interesting that I have no idea what that means, but very cool. For me, I had a really interesting experience on Sunday. I did something I haven't done in a long time. And that is I sat down and I read for an extended period of time with just some jazz, with nobody around, not feeling guilty for not being out. Because if I sit down and I do something, whether it be play a game or read or cook or something, and I don't have a person around that I'm trying to help or talk to or connect with or whatever, I feel like I'm in the wrong spot. Like I should be capturing those times with my family, capturing that time with my wife, capturing that time for study, capturing that time for God, capturing that time for content creation, capture that time for my community. And if it's just me, I feel like maybe I'm wasting. But on Sunday, I had this magical moment where I just kind of sat down and was reading manga, actually. Soft jazz played in the background, and I loved it. I couldn't, it was so life-giving to me that it was shocking. And it was something I haven't done in a very long time. And, doing nothing quiets the noise. There's been a lot of noise in my life. And I would say that, this is going to talk about, probably not reading the manga, but I felt a lot quieter than I had been in a long time. Yeah, those are interesting words, funny science, man. Yeah, exactly. Coping is used by normal people demanding evidence of self-harm, so they feel like they did something. Coping is used by normal people as demanding evidence of self-harm, so they feel like they did something. Nope, still not picking up what you're laying down, bud. Sorry. I'm not trying to be obtuse. I don't get it. I'm going to sit down before we kick in here. A sec. It must be warm out there. This, my room's getting warm. Hey, guess who figured out the button that keeps my microphone from turning itself to 1 every time it changes? This guy. That was extremely helpful. Turns out within the Wave software, if you update the firmware on your device, the Wave software has a button that overrides other programs' ability to turn down your microphone. It required a lot of work and a lot of updating, and I had to download the Wave software in 4 different versions before it would work. But eventually I got it, and it works, and it hasn't changed, and I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that. Hopefully my sound is better today. I'm running it through some filters, and I've tried to fix the sort of dynamic stuff. I added an artificial intelligence thing to it to make it sound better. You don't get it because you're not normal. Yeah. NF therapist training. For most guys have to cope with anything, it's time to get trampled and fired from your job. Oh, I see. Okay. Like there. Once you're at the place where you have something wrong, it's usually something that you're not treating well and you're already falling apart, which means that other people are either going to kick you out because you're a problem, or you have, you've said, I need help, and they're like, I'm not here to help you. You're here to work. Get lost. Yeah, that can happen. It sounds like a lot of woo-woo. If you're overworked, then transformation maybe comes from subtraction, but it could also come from doing different things. And some people need to add God to the. Well, yeah, hold on. That's just the key point. So let's go through it and see what happens. But like I said, with secular psychology, it's not going to be perfect. I just think it has some value. Let's read it together, shall we? What if life's most meaningful moments don't arrive by design, but drift in through the quiet spaces we tend to miss? What follows isn't just a blog post, it's a whisper from that stillness. These words flow from a conversation as spontaneous as life itself. One day, Nick Askew's names surfaced in an email. The very next, I found myself speaking with the filmmaker. No agenda in hand, simply following a thread of curiosity. That unplanned call became a potent reminder. When we release the urge to steer and allow life to flow, knowing finds us. It's so funny. When I read, I see so much God in this, right? Like this, there's so much, like, what if the most meaningful things in your life aren't something that happens because you control it? What if when you let go of control of your life, you actually allow God to do things because he's got a different plan, and you just need to let go and stop assuming, what the unplanned call became a potent reminder. Maybe God works through things that aren't part of your plan, right? Maybe your agenda and your whole thing is keeping good things from happening, or keeping growth from happening, because you're trying so hard to make it happen using, I'll read this and do this and calendar this and to-do list that, and I'll meet with this person and mentor with that person, and go to church and go to group and go to counseling, and like, I'll do all these things and then I'll feel better. What if, just a thought, you need time to not do all that stuff, and God wants to work with you in a place of quiet, or in a place where you are not supposed to be running and trying to achieve, but instead stopping and trying and waiting. Yeah, when we release the urge to steer and allow life to flow, God can find God is there, right? My favorite psalm, we'll read it again. My favorite psalm. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, whatever. Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down, when I rise up, you discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit? Where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as day, for the darkness is as light to you. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it full well. My frame is not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there were none of them. How precious are to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I would count them, they are more than the sand. I awake and I am still with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God, O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against you with malicious intent. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, and do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with complete hatred. I count them as my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. This psalm is so much about God seeking and God being available, right? And if this is true, and sort of the psalmist's experience is, no matter where I go, no matter where I run, either away because I don't want to be found, or wherever I'm seeking, I'm trying to find you, you are there. And a lot of this is, it happens in the quiet places, right? So when I sit down and when I lie down and you know, when I'm silent and when I'm hiding, when I'm dead, you know, so much of this is happening with lack of motion, right? It is God is in these places, and if you kind of go through it, many of them are stopped, right? You were just stopped in the dark, and you're stopped in death, and you're stopped in bed, and you're stopped in sitting down, and you're hemmed in, like you are. This is all in the places of stopping. So is it possible? And how much more stopped are you than when you're being formed, right? God is there and present while you're doing nothing, literally doing nothing, because you're not you yet. You're just a blob of cells that is potentially going to be, you know, you. And so he's knitting you together. You have no hand in that. You're not going to counseling. You're not working out. You're not doing stuff. He's just like, this is what you are going to be, and him putting you together. This is how God works. And I love the Psalm 139, especially in light of what we're talking about, because so much of what God does and so much of God's presence happens in the place of where we're not in control, right? Where we're not in control, and we're trying not to control. What if the very thing you've been avoiding, doing nothing, you know, what if you've been avoiding, which is doing nothing, is the gateway to your deepest clarity, creativity, and connection? This is, I'm convicted by this myself, because I'm really bad at doing nothing. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about it a few times, in that I have a really hard time playing games. I have a really hard time not being active, right? And by active, I don't mean moving around much necessarily. It didn't have to be active, that kind of active. It is more along the lines of production. That's the correct thing. I'm producing for my family, or I'm producing with my wife, or I'm you know, like creating memories, or I'm creating content, or I'm creating space for them, or I'm giving advice, or I'm listening to them. Like, it's always something. It's not nothing. It's never nothing. And the nothing is something that I don't do. And part of it is because, and you probably experience this too, when I get to the nothing, when I get to the silence, there's a lot of stuff in there I don't want to think about, right? There's stuff I don't want to think about, like the fears that happen, like what's going to happen in February, and what's happening right now, and what if I screw up all these events that I'm being asked to, and what if we don't have the money, and what if the surgery goes badly and I can't talk? What if you know, what if the worst comes to worst in my family, and so, you know, someone dies? What's it life going to be like? And just like all these things start cramming into my brain, Why are my numbers where they are? Why aren't they higher? What about people? Why don't people like me? Why is nobody contacting me? Why are people contacting me? And so it's just easier to continue to do. Even the doing, in like me being, right now being spiritual and talking about spiritual stuff, is still me producing. Right? Still me producing. I can talk about silence all day long while talking for 4 straight hours and not having a thought in my head that isn't designed to be teaching or content or funny or interesting or whatever, trying to communicate with you guys. It's the silence. I struggle with it, man. Anybody else? I don't know. Does anybody else struggle with this stuff? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Stillness is a source, not a void. Doing nothing quiets the noise to open the door to stillness, where you can hear what's inside to discover what's most alive. Stillness isn't empty. It's a fertile, intelligent ground. It's not about zoning out. It's about tuning in to what has always been there. To enter stillness, allow yourself to stop doing, stop becoming, and stop being. I don't know what that means, but the idea is real pausing, right? Real pausing, real stopping, the tuning in to what's actually happening. That's hard to do, especially in our world that's so distracting, right? If you have alerts on your phone and they go boop boop, it's meant to pull you away from silence. If you have, sort of that production mindset where it's I only have value if I'm producing, then you don't feel good when you're not doing that. That when sleep is designed, I need enough of it so I can produce more. It's like sleep is functioning as something so I can be productive, not a rest. It's a physical thing, or like the food that I put in my body is meant to be fuel, right? I can't enjoy it. I can't just sit here and chew it and enjoy this thing by myself, sitting here enjoying it. I have to. It's fuel for the next thing I get to do, and I better make sure that it's good fuel. Like when everything is about that, then it's really hard to enjoy life. Rather organize the Tupperware than do nothing. Yeah, it's hard. Stillness isn't something we build. It's what remains when the layers of striving fall away. Just as relaxation is the natural state beneath muscle tension, peace often lies beneath our mental noise. The wisdom you've been chasing isn't something to earn. It's something you remember when you stop trying. It's so funny how they're skirting the edge of spirituality, right? It's so funny. Stillness isn't something we build. In other words, being a peacemaker, or being someone who has confidence, or being someone who's loving, patient, long-suffering, having good character, being connected to God, being able to have a confidence beyond the production isn't something that you build. You can't do that, right? You have to let go. When you let go and stop striving, that's where God can do his work. Just as, like trying to rest is the natural state of someone who is finally letting go and going to sleep, where their body lets go. The letting go in your head and all this stuff is where God shows up. The wisdom, the answers, the direction, the hope that you've been chasing isn't something you can force into your brain by reading more Bible and listening to more sermons and saying more prayers and doing more service and attending more stuff. Maybe it's in you're chasing it is to stop chasing. You don't earn it through your good behavior. God grants it to you when you wait on him. I am the Lord. Wait on me. I am the Lord your God. And when you wait, and that's what waiting and stopping and pausing is the same thing. And when you remember him, and the word remember is all over the scriptures. And really it's, we ask God to remember us, and we are asked to remember him, and God gives us these things. And what we're supposed to remember is our relationship with him, right? What's getting in the way and what draws us closer. Natural intelligence is remembered, not created. Your mind, a powerful technology, can also be a creature of habit, replaying old tapes of anxiety and self-doubt. It's like the mind runs its own form of artificial intelligence, not made of silicon, but built on outdated survival scripts. This AI of the mind is constantly running, filtering experience, generating artificial meaning, and pulling us away from what actually is. which is extraordinarily true in that it's a weird analogy, but the idea is like we are the sum of our parts in the sense that we're the sum of our experiences, and the way that we see relationship, the way that we see God, the way that we see life, the way that we see rest, the way that we see work, the way that we see pain, the way that we see weather, is all through the lens of our previous experiences. But the problems with our previous experiences is they are colored according to our reaction to what was happening at the time. So we if we had a bunch of bad Christmases, or we had bad mom and dad, or we believe the world is more difficult than it should be for us, and the world's unfair, and here's 12 reasons why, whatever is happening in front of that day is the sum of all those things. That's the filter. Life is pain, people are unfair, you can't trust anybody, life is short, things like that. And because it's the sum of your own parts, and you're reacting to it in the way that you understand from the past, instead of reacting it brand new today, or reacting to it from a perspective, this is the day, God made it, it's brand new, I don't know what's going to happen, I'm not in control. But instead, today's going to be exactly like yesterday. Today's going to be reflective of all the stuff. I better be ready for it. There you are in the midst of anxiety. You're the same person, nothing will change. Where this artificial intelligence is goal-driven and rigid, natural intelligence is fluid. You don't create it, you tune into it. It allows what you already know to come forth. This kind of knowing isn't the knowing of an abstract idea. It's a biological inheritance of our nervous system are wired for. This is why you have so many good ideas in the shower. Okay? It's a good point about remembering. Sometimes we think we remember something or different when maybe we need to look at what we already know about God. Yeah, because it's possible that your younger brain, when you were 4, when you were 16, when you were 20, when you were whatever, didn't perceive that correctly. And the emotions attached to it and all the thoughts attached to it are actually wrong, right? Or maybe you're remembering it wrong. Or maybe there's extenuating circumstances you did not know. And if you knew them, you would see it in a different light. But now it's steering your future and steering your reactions, it's steering your relationships, but it's actually wrong. You're wrong. That emotion's wrong. The feeling is wrong. The perspective is wrong, but it's super real to you. That's why we need other people on the outside. But yeah, so the reason that you have so many good ideas in the shower is because it's finally the place where you're quiet. Usually you don't bring your phone, although I know people who do. Insane. Usually you don't bring something to read. You don't, some people, they can't not shower with music or whatever. And the reason is because they're afraid of what's going to happen when they finally let their brain think. And God created you in such a way that your brain, once you give it some space, can start to order things. And that's where you're like, wow, that was a really good idea. And you're like, I better write that down. And why are all these good ideas happening in the shower? It's the only time you're quiet. It's the only time you put stuff down. It's the only time you give yourself to just kind of free flow think, because you got shampoo in your hair, your eyes are closed. You are, the white noise from the shower is blocking out all of their noise. You are now in an isolation chamber, stuck with your own thoughts. And all of a sudden, all these things that you've kind of been pushing off or trying to force start kind of happening, right? That's why I have a whiteboard in the shower. Yeah, all right. Some people do, hello, Zach. Some people, like, wow, that was really good. I'm gonna write that down. The trick is to do that when you're not in the shower. The whole goal of this article. Do that, but you don't need to be naked, wet, and showering. You could be doing it like at a park or in your chair. That's okay too. I was actually thinking, not that we remember wrong, but that maybe we aren't trusting God for what we know of him already to be enough, because it doesn't come the way we want or the timing we want. Yeah. And if we learn that lesson, the next thing that we're trying to want can be seen through that lens better. Okay, let's keep going. Consider our baseline for connection. Secure attachment is our natural state. I don't know what that means. You can see it in a baby who reaches out instinctively for a caregiver's eyes, trusting they'll be met. That trust isn't taught, it's remembered. Insecurity is the emotional equivalent of a chronic muscle tension, a learned, constant bracing against the world. It's a protective shell built from layers of experience and interpretation. But beneath the shell, your whole nervous system remembers how to trust, connection, and feel whole. The idea is, I think the idea behind this paragraph is really to say, like, all that anxiety and all the fear and all the stuff that's going on inside of you, there is some stuff underneath there that feels a lot better. But because if you're living always in the present and always in anxious mode and always, fight or flight, and you're always kind of just keeping yourself busy, you're never going to be able to work through that anxiety, work through that frustration, think of the positive stuff. It's just, you need time. Because if you're like, say for example, you're in the jungle and you see a lion and you're running, you're running. And they, it doesn't matter what flowers you're passing or how delicious that banana would have been, or that the village that you saw in the distance, or how beautiful the sunset is. None of it matters. All that matters is get away from the lion. You can't see that stuff. When the lion is gone, lion turns away, is gone. You stop, and suddenly now, look, a banana. Look at that pretty thing. Wow, it's a really beautiful sunset. You're able to see it. But if you live in a constant state of the lion is always behind you, always, even when he's not there. Every rustle in life is that lion trying to eat you. Every movement is that lion trying to come and get you. If you stop for a minute, the lion is going to eat you. That's anxiety. That's what anxiety is. The lion is going to eat you. And if you live there all the time, how will you ever get to the place where you see the flower, see the banana, see the village, see the beautiful sunset? You can't. Which is why this is kind of saying, force yourself. If you stop, it's really hard to sometimes, especially because you're worried that the lion will eat you. If I stop, the lion's going to eat me. Why would I stop? Are you insane? You get to go to say to yourself, there isn't a lion. My body is lying to me. My mind is lying to me. My ears are lying to me. I know there's not a lion. I'm okay here. And then you can kind of stop and you can see the flower, you can see the banana, you can see the village, you can see the sunset. But it requires you to choose to not see the lion for a little while, to choose to not listen to your body for a little while, to choose to step away from that anxiety, which is hard to do. People are afraid of it. They're really afraid of it. I know for me, the silence thing, I appreciate it. I'm not afraid of silence, but at the same time, it is, I know I've got a lot to work through. So it almost feels like if I scratch that surface, there's a lot going on there. What if I crack that open? I don't have time to deal with it. We'll just, keep the lid on that thing, because otherwise I don't know what's going to happen. For me, like sometimes I feel like my emotions or my life is like a shaken up pop bottle, where you've got, the carbonation on the inside is just ready. Everything's like really tight because you're shaking it up so much. And so the silence in that scenario is where you kind of crack the lid a little bit, and you give it that kss, and you like let it go for a second, kss, and you kind of let it go for a second, so that you don't, if you pop that lid off, you'd spray it everywhere and it would be a mess. So you're trying to do it in a managed kind of way, a little gurgling here, a little bit of spray there, a little bit of pop gets out, but you're trying to do it in a managed way. Well, what happens if you are, you finally sit down, you go, and you get disrupted, or it's not long enough, you step out. Well, now you've got happening, and I don't know what to do with that. The fear of dealing with it keeps you from dealing with it. The practice of stillness is how we quiet the AI of learned insecurity to hear the signal from this deeper remembered baseline. Yep. Doing nothing can be deeply productive. In a hyper-productive world, doing nothing can feel unnatural, even wrong. But stepping back from constant activity is often the very thing that reveals your most meaningful insights, creativity, and authentic expression. When we pause and let go of the constant doing, life begins to move through us, not from us. Disconnection from self, others, or the present moment is rarely intentional. Like tension, it's a pattern, often reinforced by various systems that reward overdoing. But underneath that disconnection, your system is wired for connection, clarity, and quiet joy. Think of Asmongold again, right? He's like, man, I'm probably burning out and I'm losing my marbles, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find marbles. Could take me a while to find my marbles, guys. And someone in chat's like, what if you started another channel? It's like, what? Why? And so the reward in that scenario is, we love you. We want more of you. We think you're valuable. When you speak, we're happy. We'll send you money. We'll give you attention. We'll make you feel like you have value. Just keep producing for us. That's what we want. We'll give you all the affirmation you need, right? And so the idea is that you are, you're rewarded for the production. You really are. Your system's wired to like that, right? Yeah, I never understood that either. I don't really get that. Maybe it was the idea of just delete everything and start over, and then that way you won't be, so stressed out, but they just come find you. But this here is the idea that you have to go, nope, I choose to step away, like from him, for example, from the affirmation of my community, from the money that comes in from my community, from the life-giving nature of just kind of interacting and feeling smart and feeling connected and feeling like I have value. I'm going to step away from that so I can get a greater sense of joy from something else, from something better, because the little pittances here are actually pulling more than they're giving. They're giving me 5 cents, but they're taking a quarter, and I'm living on trying to get the 5 cents just so I can go. And they're over there somewhere in silence, in break, in counseling, in God, is a full-on loony, even a toonie, even where that's the promise. But you have to let go of the nickels for a little while to be able to go over there and get yourself the loony and the toonie, the toonie of God. People are reading because I want to do something different. Think different content. Yeah, do the same thing, but somewhere else. That's not helpful. Subtraction reveals essence. Transformation doesn't require more, but less. The goal isn't to live without performance or control, but to practice temporarily setting them aside. For you, okay, so if you were to think through this, what that means to you, right? If you want to transform, I think everybody in chat, if I said to you, do you want to be a better person? Are you in a process of transformation? Do you wish there were things about you that were different? You wish that you knew God better, knew others better, knew yourself better, was a better worker, was a better friend, was a better, son, daughter, was a better husband, better wife, but whatever. Do you wish you were transformed into something better? I think everybody in chat would go, yeah, I wish I was. This line here then, transformation doesn't require more but less. If that's true, and I believe it is sometimes, as you clearly pointed out, sometimes it's not, sometimes you don't need less. Sometimes you need more of something different. Right? You need to replace your stimulus chemicals with like sleep. You need to replace the many voices in your head with God. You need to replace your absolute dependence on podcasts with scripture and prayer and community, right? Things like that. You don't need less, you need different. That's true too. But if the transformation you're requiring means stop finding more books and stop finding more groups and stop finding more classes and stop finding more videos and stop finding more shorts and stop finding more places that you can go, what if it means to stop trying to pursue all that? And actually, it's not about trying to find all this stuff out there. What if you have enough? What if you've learned enough and you've experienced enough and you have processed enough and you've journaled enough and you've figured out enough and you've taken enough classes? But the trick is you haven't assimilated any of it, right? What if the issue is you haven't actually taken the time? I know so many people, my children included, probably myself included, I'll say myself too, that can do lots of things, but kind of just skip over the top, and they never let it really sink in. They'll take a class, they'll go to Sunday service, or they'll go to school, or they'll go have a conversation, or they'll go learn how to play something, or they'll, whatever, and they'll do the thing, but that's it. It doesn't settle. They don't think about it. They don't meditate on it. They don't let it process. They desperately want to learn something, do something, be something, and they keep I watch a video and I do this and I'm watching that, and but at no point do they stop and just kind of be like, okay, what do I think about that? What do I think about that? They don't get that far. They need to, but they never do. but they think the solution is in adding more. At some point, some magic piece of content is going to flip the switch. But what if the switch needs a little space? The goal isn't to live without performance or control, but to practice temporarily setting them aside. These transient moments of letting go, our usual narratives quiet down, and truer self is allowed to surface. The practice, therefore, is one of momentary subtraction, not permanent addition, right? Yeah. Filmmaker Nick Askew shows in his Soul Biography series when people are invited to the spaciousness of no thing, what emerges isn't performance, it's essence. Yeah. Yep. And I think in a similar way, who you are when nobody's around is who you really are. I think that's kind of what that says. Right? When you're quiet and when you're silence, all those thoughts that you've been pushing outside of your head, those are some things you probably need to think about. And what, the activities that you do when nobody's around, or the stuff that you're doing to cope and whatnot, that stuff is you, right? That really is you. And you need to take time to think about that and process that. And why do I do that? And what's going on there? Instead of just continuing to do it and pushing through, like we're talking about Asmund Gold. Authenticity doesn't require effort. You don't have to try to be authentic any more than a tree has to try to grow upright. It just does when it's rooted. In the same way, when you're present and no longer managing perceptions, authenticity unfolds on its own. It's all one, right? Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but delights in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. This is someone who they don't spend a bunch of time hanging out with folks and listening to folks and hanging out with folks and having other voices in their head, scoffers, so Twitter, sinners, so, porn and gambling and all the rest of that stuff. The wicked, people give really bad advice. But instead, they pause, they meditate, they wait, they stop, they pause, they break, they do what the article is saying. And they do that for an extended period of time. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and the leaf does not wither. All it does he prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff that the wind drives away. This article, right? You don't have to try to be authentic any more than a tree has to grow upright. You don't have to make yourself become more spiritual. Or be a better person. That'll happen as you delight and meditate on God and kind of doing things his way, in his timing, on his schedule. That's where you grow like a tree. That's where the imperceptible growth, the strengthening, all of a sudden you have like the thickening of your abilities and the strength that you can have, and more people can depend on you, and you actually have fruit. That all happens because of the stopping and the soaking, right? You could stand there at the you could stand there at the river, right? So the plants by streams of water. So the idea is through the roots and through extended periods of time, the roots are soaking in the right kinds of nutrients from the soil and through the water, and it's going in slowly and building. Whereas in our society, it's almost like we're standing in the river and just chucking buckets of water as fast as we can at this tree. Those little poor little withered like thing that's just a stick that is us in our spiritual life and our effectiveness. And there it is. And we're just chucking buckets of water at it. And it keeps bending and snapping and bending. And we're like, why aren't you growing? Why are you growing? Why aren't I growing? Why can't I get bigger, better? What's the deal? What is happening? More bucket, and anybody would be like, dude, that's not how trees work. Stop throwing water on it. You're actually doing damage. Right? You are eroding the soil. You are causing it to get worse. Stop it. You need to take a break. You need to let it soak in what you've just put there. That needs to happen, or you will not grow. Right? So that's the silence, right? That's what we're talking about. That stopping is the time where we stop watering this dang tree and we let the water seep into the roots. We're like that. That's what humans are like. We can't do it immediately. If you look at all the way through scripture, from the beginning to the end, you see these big vast swaths of time that nothing's happening, presumably. right? The time between the creation of Adam and Eve to the fall. We don't know how long that was. Might have been a week. Might have been not a week. We don't know. From Adam to Noah, like hundreds of years went by, right? And then you've got from like Noah to Abraham, or from how long was Abraham to wandering around? How long was Moses wandering around? Just by 40 years, nothing's going on, right? What's happening in that time? With Moses, especially, great example was, thank you, was that he's learning how to shepherd a people, and he's learning about himself. He's learning about dependence on God. He's learning about what it means to not be the prince of Egypt, to not have that power, to not do things his way, but to listen to some wise counsel, right? To listen to himself, to spend time with God, to spend time learning. And that's where the tree is growing over that long 40-year period until he's ready, and God goes, okay, let's make some fruit. And then 40 years, then takes Israel, what, a few thousand? Takes the world 6,000 years to come to the place where it's ready for Jesus, right? Like, there's a lot of growth that needs to happen for these things to happen, and that takes a lot of time. It doesn't just happen immediately, and you don't see this every day. The intertestamental period between Micah and Matthew, 400 years, man. Like, God is at work. Stuff's happening, but like we don't read that, but we think it's just like boom, 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 boom. Even in Jesus' life, we the whole book, but that was 30 years before he decided he was, time to go, and then off to the desert for a really long time, like a month and a half. Go be a month and a half in the desert by yourself. We'd be like, no, man, you just got called to ministry. Get to learning, get to work. Like, God's like, no, get to the desert, stay there, right? And then 3 years of ministry. It takes a while for this stuff to happen, and we need to be okay with that. Otherwise, you're gonna burn yourself out trying to do the right thing. When you're present, no longer managing perceptions, authenticity unfolds on its own. We've been taught, try to be authentic, but true self-expression arises naturally from presence and stillness. From this place, self-importance fades. So does the fear of being misunderstood. What's left is communication that connects, not to persuade, but to reflect what is. It's very true that confidence comes from silence, right? Comes from knowing who you are, knowing who God is, knowing what your mission is, knowing what you are for, what you're against. And a lot of that requires thinking, right? Like, so if you are constantly sort of not sure who you are, and you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not sure what's right and what's wrong, and you're not sure what other people are supposed to be doing, or what your relationship is supposed to be with them, and how to deal with that stuff, you're going to just always feel a lack of confidence. Someone's going to go, you should do this. You'd be like, I guess, or you should stop that. And you'd be like, okay, but if you know who you are because you've spent time with God and processing through, then when someone goes, you should do this, you can go, nope, and have the confidence to say that because you know what you're doing. But that confidence comes through silence, comes through time, comes through stillness, comes through waiting on God. How long is this article? Really long. Okey Dinah. Maybe we won't do more than this today. Well, good stuff, though. I think it's good stuff, even if it's me. Nick Askew's films are created. Oh, Prisons Connects Us Beyond Words. Nick Askew's films are created without scripts or prompts. His subjects speak from stillness, and what they say is often less important than how it is said, because how something is said changes how it's heard. Their state of being communicates more than the content ever could. Often it's in the silence that we hear the loudest truths. These films don't teach, they remind you what it feels like to remember yourself. Fine. Now that you've said it a billion times, I will go on YouTube, find out what the heck. Nick Askew. 9 years ago. All right, hold on. Let's watch this one since it's newer.
Like it's such
Bruh.
an extraordinary thing to be a human being. And you can't film this now, can you?
And I see someone.
Like it's such an extraordinary thing to be a human being. And you can't film this now, can you?
And I see someone who's disfigured, you know, and I feel comfortable with myself and I'm able to be myself. It seems like a miracle to them. Like, because people who look like me aren't supposed to feel confident and comfortable in their own skins.
And ever since we lost Carlos Javier, family has taken a different meaning. To be able to be together in the good times, and especially in the bad times.
We are together in such a simple way that there is full permission to be who we are. I think she has my full permission. I think she has the full permission to go through this disease.
When I'm loving myself, I have so much more space to love those around me. And it's amazing what comes of it.
One thing about profound love and saying yes to someone is there no longer really is a need to speak.
People were not going to lie down and die. They were going to keep upright somehow, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to live. The urge to live is extraordinarily strong, isn't it?
I tried to kill myself. It was part of the process. To understand that you have to find the sense of your life.
There's this little scared little girl meeting other scared little boys and girls. And the miracle of life allowing them to connect a little bit. And then realizing that with that connection, a little bit of light came in and we were able to do something together.
Is it almost like some sort of doubting Thomas, and there's a force there that's almost like trying to show me the way. And it's very powerful. It's extremely powerful.
I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
It's your last day in this world. Oh, you have to enjoy your last day. Sometimes we were like this, walking on the forest with the other one, like this, and we were just sometimes laughing at the things.
Come back here this minute and sit down and tell me what it is you've got to tell me, because I know fear always has something to tell you, to tell me. What is it that you're trying to tell me? And it said, I'm trying to get you to learn your own worth.
And it's like a soul connection. Wow. That's like the like the treasure, like you discovered the treasure of the person. And if that person is willing to share the treasure, why won't you be able to share yours also?
Just checking the mask.
Like I can say things and actually believe some of what comes out of my mouth.
We have no clue. We have no clue. And you know what? The interesting and fascinating things of having no clue is that then you fall in love with questions.
So he picks up his umbrella, hangs it over his head, writes it in forward marks, follow me. And the children just burst out laughing and went straight after him, without a sound.
It's a great feeling to be able to wake up every morning with enthusiasm.
I'm sitting here and I'm looking at you and I'm thinking it's about love, actually.
Our nature is to find that joy, that fulfillment, that, whatever you call, in simple things.
Well, that's kind of fascinating. That is the longest video in the history of videos. Golly, that's a big one. Good thing I have an ultra-wide monitor. Good gravy. So apparently his films, so we just watched a whole bunch of clips, so at least now we know what we're talking about. You know, it's something. They're created without scripts or prompts. His subjects speak from stillness, and what they say is often less important than how it is said, because how something is said changes how it's heard. Their state of being communicates more than their content ever could. Often it's in the silence that we hear the loudest truths. These films don't teach, they remind you of what it's like to remember yourself. It actually is interesting watching that, because hopefully I'm reflecting the idea that sentence, or that paragraph would, but what sounds like gibberish outside to people, it was meaningful to you. It's almost like a dream. You know, whenever you're trying to communicate a dream to somebody, I had this dream last night. You wouldn't believe it. We were at a radio station, and the Ghostbusters were there, and the government was trying to shut down the radio station because all they kept playing was "I Alone" by the band live, and they were fighting, and it was a TV show. Like, when you were experiencing that, which I was, it meant a lot to you. And as you're trying to communicate this thought, it was a really interesting experience to have this dream in my life. You sound like a crazy person. It's just gibberish coming out. And I think in the same way, you know, kind of back to what this was talking about, the subjects who speak this stuff it may come out sounding odd, or like the words may not make any sense. Or there are some, like I thought some of that was really cool, but it's deeply meaningful to them. And I think in the same way, the time that you spend with God and the time that you spend in silence, the time you spend meditating or thinking or processing, it may be a cloud of stuff. You'll walk out feeling better and be like, oh, that was cool. What happened? And you're like, I can't put words to it. I can't process. I'm still working through that kind of stuff, but it was beneficial, right? Sometimes what arises from this space carries the unmistakable tone of something deeper, words that feel spoken, not just by us, but through us, like journaling aloud. This practice brings clarity by giving form to what you didn't know you knew. Utterance from this stillness might include, I don't know who I am right now, and it feels like the most honest thing I've ever said. There's stillness here, and I don't know how long there's stillness here I didn't know I was longing for. I always thought that I had become someone, but in this moment, I feel like I already am. What's speaking now doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everything. That, again, that it can sound like gibberish or gobbledygook or kind of like bizarro stuff on the outside, but you know what you mean. God knows you know what you mean. You know what you're trying to say. It was a big deal to you. And that's why we need to talk it through. And that's why we need counselors. And that's why we need to go to, groups and tell our friends and open up to people and whatnot to process this in a logical way. That's why I love journaling, is because as you're writing out your feelings and your thoughts and your experiences, you have to communicate it at least a little bit in a way that makes sense with grammar. So you have to process it some logically. So it goes from feeling in that cloud of stuff into something more linear, and it starts to have more meaning. But it's okay if it starts as kind of gibberish. To try the stillness recording practice, follow these steps. Set up, find a quiet place, and place your phone or camera in front of you. Don't do this. Do this. Yesterday, somebody asked me about performative prayer. Why don't you record your prayers and then put them on TikTok? And I'm like, heck no. Do not do this. I like to sit comfortably, close your eyes, and find a quiet space. That's all good thing. Do not record yourself doing this. Embrace it. Let go of even the act of being. Set down any impulse to meditate, to relax, to reach a state. Just stop. Let stillness arise on its own. That actually is a good idea, because if you're productivity minded, what you'll end up doing when you get to that place is like, okay, what do I need to do? I'm gonna read some scripture. What does the Bible say about this stuff? Okay, cool. I'm gonna think about this. I should probably think about my youth. I should probably figure out some stuff. What are some questions I should ask? What have I heard in the past? What classes have I taken? What did the pastor say last week? Like all that stuff. You're going to try to guide this thing. And step one of this kind of thing is to let go of that sense of guidance. Because you're like, I'm just here to abide. The Bible talks about abiding in Christ. It just means being, right? If you look at John 15, right? I'm the true vine. My Father is the vine dresser. Every branch that is in me does not does not bear fruit, he takes away. Every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that he may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Right? The concept of abiding. Hey, thank you. The concept of abiding is just kind of being with. That's what that means. The branch isn't pulling, trying to get something. The branch is just being there. It's just being the branch, connected. Good to see you. Welcome. Hi, Potato. In the same way, what you're trying to do when you start this whole thing is not to try to steer. You're not trying to be like, okay, Vine, here's what I need. What I need is, like you're just trying to go, okay, I'm just going to try to be here and wait for the moment when a thought or insight naturally arises that feels like it comes from a deeper place. Speak it aloud. Don't force it. Trust the right words will come. It's so interesting to consider that this here it's a very spiritual practice. This is a secular somehow version of it. But what you would hear from people who are processing or who are trying to teach the concept of abiding and meditation is when you are there and in that place and you kind of, feel something comes from the deeper place, or like you feel a sense, kind of just sit in that for a minute, right? The way that if you're in God and you're seeking a vision from God and you're trying to find some guidance from God, you steering it is you trying to be like, God, show me in the GPS where I'm supposed to go, and then arguing with the GPS. You're supposed to let go and just kind of wait. And when that comes, don't try to force the thought or try to like clarify the thought or clean up the thought or try to whatever. Just take a second and sit there. Right? What is, God speak, God open up, God show me that I want to kind of hear from you, and I just want to be silent for a minute and just kind of listen. If nothing comes, that's fine. The silence has value and spending time just kind of being there. But if something happens, just kind of wait on it, and when you've sat in it for a little while and thought about it, write it down. I've talked about my lazy river. This is literally how I got the lazy river vision. From like, this is exactly what happened, but it was a spiritual process. It was a God process, not just being there, right? Waiting patience, my flesh hates it. It certainly does. We absolutely do not like this stuff. Hey, Ransom. And it is a battle. And that's this here, right? You find a quiet space. Where's that? Right? Sit comfortably. My back hurts. Close your eyes. But what if? And that's all. This is all really hard to do, and that's why it takes practice. It takes time. It takes more than once. The Matthew chapter 6 sort of like go to the closet, be where God is. Don't find that time, and it's not just a one-time thing. And then when you're there, after you've spent some time, write it down and look at it. Just being like, hey, this is kind of what I see. I wouldn't say that you're like, this is scripture. All of a sudden you're writing scripture because God said it. It's just something you're processing through. And then what we do is, hopefully this is the next thing. Nope. The next part, step 5, is talk to people about it. This is why I think recording it is really, really dumb. What you should do is you should sit with people you trust, sit with pastor, friend, parents, brother, sister, people who you do trust, who are believers, who know you, who love you, who are on your side, and share with them the thing that you're like, I think God said something. I think there was, some, when I was sitting in silence, I kind of felt this, saw this, thought this, wrote it down. Can I run it past you? Here's what I think. And then when I did that with the lazy river, I had just everybody, yes, stupid. I think we've been trying to tell you that for quite some time. So yeah, do that. Right. And it was affirmed by people who knew me, who loved me, and who loved God. That's step 5. I don't know why this isn't there. You should, especially Psychology Today, and then go talk to your psychologist about it. Yeah, no words. That's okay. Just chill. The goal isn't just to sit there forever and be in constant stillness, but like you're there. You need times of stillness, but you can't live there all the time. We're not meant to do that either. Why the filming matters? It doesn't. It would make you anxious. It would make you, I don't know if you're like me, I'd be worrying about how much time there was and whether it was framed properly and what I'm going to do with it. And do I delete it? Do I keep it? I think this is a terrible idea. I don't like that at all. I don't think you should be recording it except for in your journal afterwards. Do not just, okay. I think we're good that we got to the end of this thing. And yeah, be still and know that he is God. Just wait on him. Oh, wow. That was a lot. So we just went through a solid, I don't know, hour and some on this idea of silence and stopping from the perspective of secular psychology, and also from what I think a lot of it is in scripture. So my hope is that you would actually be able to find the stopping, find that place to stop. If you do find it, I'd love to hear about it. This is where we're, this is what happened. I did a thing, and it was actually really, really cool. I enjoyed it. Or it was crazy and I lost my marbles and I didn't know what to do with myself. Let's talk about that too. Does anybody have anything they want to share or talk about or bring up before we step into the next article? Because we can, I'm not sure I ever had marbles. You should have marbles. There should be some rolling around somewhere. But but yeah, it's important to have. I'm going to take a quick little break while we wait. The next thing we're going to be talking about is what shopping steals from us. So one of the reason I wanted to cover this is because one of the things that people do instead of silence is they go and they consume, right? So we've reached peak content. What now? Consume, right? Shopping, consume stuff. It makes me feel better. I'm going to go buy myself a thing and then I'll feel better instead of taking that time. So what if smooth river rocks? That's probably better. You're okay. That's probably better than marbles. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, but before I take a little break, get some fresh air and fill up my water. Does anybody have anything they want to ask or say? Or but then we'll come back around. Okay. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a little break. In the meantime, exclamation point, reach, exclamation point, how bonkers, exclamation point, taco needs, TACONEEDS, just like you saw there, and see what happens. Be right back. Hello. Did the gotcha work? Did it count down? I hope it did. It has been, I've been working on it. It feels done. At the very least, it feels done. What it's supposed to do is you hit gotcha, you get 10 free polls. The community gets 10 free polls on the gotcha for fun. And then if you really want to add to your collection, you can add using 10 bits, just because that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. So it's, but do you get anything? Sadly, no. But it is funny. I think some of it's very funny. I think Samus got an octopus yesterday. So that was, it's something. It worked. We only see it for ourselves, not when someone else does it. Right? What? Oh no, what? You see, everybody sees it. It just comes on screen. Right? If I say gotcha, it pops up and it's there. So I should, yeah, you see it, right? And then, boop. I adopted a comet named Madonna. I mean, you got it, right? Oh, you got a Hydra. Okay, yeah. All right. Got a Hydra. Yeah, you everybody should see it. It just comes on screen. It's not built into Twitch. It's just an overlay that I had that I programmed. I didn't give it a noise. And the reason I didn't give it a noise is because I don't want it to distract. And I would have overdone the noise by a long shot. It would have been you know, it would have done that. And I don't think anybody wants that. All right, go abide, buddy. The dude abides, as Ransom said. Thank you. I know. I didn't think a noise was a good idea. It's just for fun. I was trying to find something to do for kicks and giggles, just for fun, just for silliness sake, to see if there was something that we could be a little bit different. I tried. I had a few ideas, and they are that was one of them. I actually saw it on Etsy. Etsy had a whole bunch of these, and I'm like, I can probably do that. And so I had a chat with ChatGPT, and because it went to ChatGPT 5, it was very good at its job. I really liked it. So yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to commentary on this and eat a bologna sandwich, but let's see how this goes. What shopping steals from us? What? Slash marker shopping. There we go. What shopping steals from us? Impulsive purchases come with shame and lots of disbelief. So let's go back to our previous music. We'll go down a little bit further. Okay, so when I talked about this a long time ago, and that's the change that I made when it comes to me buying things. And that was, I wanted it to be to always be a celebration, right? Just not like groceries, but like I want to, if I'm going to go buy something, if I'm going to get something, if I'm going to share something, if I'm going to get something for myself or for someone else, I want to be able to tell everybody about it. I want it to be something I can celebrate and I can enjoy, and I can talk to my family about, and I can talk to my community about, and I can tell my friends, I can tell my church, because it's very cool and I'm excited about it. And if I can't do that, I'm not going to get it. That has saved my bacon a few times, because what ends up happening, I'll go to the store, and because I'm shopping emotionally, I'm like, oh, I want this, or I want to get that. You know, buying this will make me feel better. Buying that'll make me feel better. But I can't tell my wife. I can't tell my kids. I have to go sneak it. I have to go. You know, I'll eat the thing in the car, or I will go and, you know, I'll put it in my office, or like nobody needs to know. Nobody cares. I hope chat doesn't find out, and I don't want to have to explain this to them. And if all that stuff starts happening, I don't buy it. I want to be able to say, I want to tell my friends, I want to tell my kids, I want to tell my chat, I want to tell everybody, this is a cool thing that I got. And I don't want anybody I don't ever want to feel that feeling of shame or fear, because I bought something. And that really did change a lot of it. So I did, back in the day, it was, I'd go buy a game, or I'd go buy a CD, or even a piece of technology or something like that. And I'd come home and I'd feel like buyer's remorse, and I'd feel like kind of gross about it. And, it ended up being a big talk, and I'm like, I'm done with that. So that life just, that was way better. Okay. So impulsive purchases. Our hyper-focus on consumption has led us away from connection to ourselves. Egoistic, everyday moral decision-making drives spending. However, egoistic, everyday moral decision-making is not the same as self-care. Self-care is not focused on consuming. So you can see now how these are sort of parallel, right? The concept of sitting and waiting and whatnot, and then self-care. There we go. Tariffs are starting to make the prices of things go up. That is an issue, but one I'll leave to the economists. Instead, I've been thinking about our collective accumulation of cheap goods, and even more about the intangible services we buy. Subscription to apps for streaming, exercising, saving, Substacks for literature and politics, services to help us get rid of the apps that we forgot that we had to track the shopping we are doing. There's so much to consume, so many ways to consume. Some of the stuff is great, but a lot of it's mediocre, and much of it I don't want or need. I know I'm not alone. How much stuff do you have? How many subscriptions do you have? How many things do you have? How many things have you bought that you just don't need? And not that everything you have should be something you need. I do believe in, art on the walls and doing things for your own enjoyment, or like vacations or whatever. Having not everything is based on need. You can spend things on stuff that you think is cool. But the reason for the cool, and whatnot, is it driven by emotion and whatnot? And how many of these things are you not using? Like, for example, the people who have Netflix and never watch Netflix, people who have subscriptions to newspapers that they never read, people who buy a piece of technology, or they buy a piece of something or a board game or something, and they never play it. It's just never there. Why did they buy that in the first place? Where did that come from, and what are they doing? And how much of it can you purge? There's I can't remember who the woman is online. I think Samus talked about one the other day. Someone who's in charge, is kind of like in charge of purging from life and removing and cleansing and cleaning and just decluttering and things like that, right? It's there's a really famous lady who talks about it and just kind of does this spark joy, right? And he's like, no, it doesn't, get rid of it, kind of thing. And that's kind of the feeling, is that a lot of the stuff that we have doesn't spark joy. It's not necessarily, it's not helpful, it's not good. It was bought for bad reasons. I feel guilty about even having it. And what is the point? It's just taking up room. And why did we get it? Like, what caused us to do that? Chances are it was an emotional response, or someone played our emotions to get our money. We have moved a few times, and every time I'm amazed at how much stuff it is that we have that is not worth putting on the truck. Yeah, nothing like a couple moves to thin out the stuff. Yeah, I need to watch way more Crunchyroll. Yeah, if you're paying for it, man, go watch it. Spark joy thing is too emotional. That sort of crap made me borderline hoarder. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, it is emotional, and it's, if you don't know, why whatever, like, especially since it's like nostalgia, or I feel, or whatever. Yeah, you're right. There should be other rules, but I think that's not a bad one. It's there are worse things to thin out. Like if you ever heard of Fly Lady. Fly Lady is a great system for trying to figure stuff out, and it's got, like, if you can only keep magazines around for 6 weeks, or you can only have you always have to clean your sink every single night, things like that, where it's like you keep things tidy or clean, or not filling. Talk about hotspots in your house, which is basically any surface, literally any surface in your house, because as soon as it's a surface and it's empty, people put stuff on it. And so one of the things you do is you go look for your hotspots, and like the stuff that is like on the piano, or it's sitting on a TV tray, or it's sitting over there on the, by the door on a bench, like you're like, these are just areas of people, things. And so taking some time to clear out the hotspots, that kind of stuff. Dana K. White took the emotions out of it. Okay. All right. There you go. Cool. Currently at Aldi's, they have seat cushions. I'm trying to decide if my old one is worn enough to replace. Hey, Well, let me know how that goes. Does it spark joy? Does having a sore butt spark joy? Okay, what am I? I work with clients to help them sort through their belongings and let go of what is no longer needed or wanted, valued or loved. For me, this is less about tidying the external space into perfection and more about reconnecting to oneself, which I view as the perfect objective. Much of what clients dispose of in our work is stuff that they forgot about as soon as they acquired it. The first time they fling a cheap plastic object across the room into their junk pile, it is often done with great disgust. A confession follows. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. Like, I think the point, Sam's point of, you know, running this completely through emotions. If you are in a bad place, you're going to delete your house, right? And people have done that. Just burn it all down. And then later you kind of regret it. Or if you're in a place, you know, and you look at it all and you're like, I need all of this. What are you talking about? Every single part of it. You know, if you're psychologically unhealthy, one way or the other, that is not a perfect rule to be able to do that. Part of the reason I think that having a guide would probably help. Prefer the last touch rule, but there are family mementos and special occasions exceptions. Yeah. When's the last time you touched that? When's the last time you wore that? When's the last time you used that? Yeah, exactly. If you haven't done it this calendar year, maybe you don't need it. I've come to understand that impulsive purchases come with shame, but mostly disbelief. Even when we look at the ones made with good intentions or the ones that were so cheap, we ask, what was I thinking? Chances are you weren't thinking, or rather connecting to your true self. There was an internal gap and the cheap stuff did not fill the gap. Absolutely. The emotional buying or shop therapy, or, you know, what do they call that? The consumerism therapy. Can't remember the word. But doing that, you know, like, because you have an emotional gap, you're going to go buy something new to make yourself feel better, and then it goes away. I saw an interesting comic. I wonder if I'm going to find it. I can find it. It was an interesting meme comic. I thought it was kind of funny. It was basically, there was a guy that he got a new thing, and it was a little ball, and he was holding the little ball of new thing, and it's like, this will make me happy. And he looks at the ball, and the word new just slowly kind of fades out, and then when the fading of it goes out, he's sad again. Right? Like, it's just like, unfortunately, the new that made it good didn't stick around, which made it not, you know, it's like, bummer. And now I need to go buy another one, or I need to figure something better out. My husband used to get into binge moods with his anxiety. Yeah, not always great. Yeah, not always great. Yeah, because you're trying to delete feelings, and your feelings are connected to your stuff, and yeah. What remains fascinating to me is that the cheapest things are often some of the hardest for people to part with. It's good to keep in mind that one person's cheap is another person's expensive, but all things being equal, these items are often the hardest for people to part with. I think this is due to how they were acquired, which means, what I mean is that the focus was on the thing filling up the person's life rather than the person, the self, who is supposed to use it, or in most cases, not use it, right? Which, riddling out what that said is, if I get this item, car, drink, phone, whatever, if I get the thing, I will feel better. I'll feel more confident. I'll feel stronger. I'll be able to show off. Other people will think I'm special. It will help me to get my life in order. It will be the thing that is all the difference to me, to be able to make whatever that thing is in my life better. But the thing, is that just a thing? It doesn't do that. It doesn't make your life better. It doesn't, fill you with confidence. It like that, and it will go away even if it did. And so therefore the thing lied to you. The commercial or the box that told you the thing was going to be the solution lied to you. You believed the lie, bought the lie, brought it home, and were like, I still feel the feeling, and now I have this thing. I tried to use it. I thought about using it. I brought it out. I tried to figure it out. Then all of a sudden my own issues took over and I wasn't able to do anything about it. And so now I have a thing and I still don't use it. Or I have a thing and it didn't fill the gap. Unfortunately, we are all dumb And so therefore we go like, let's find another thing. Maybe the problem was I got the wrong thing. Let's go buy another thing. And then the cycle continues. Usually because we're watching something, someone we know buys a thing and is happy. And we're like, he bought that thing and he's happy, or she bought that thing and she's happy. I might be happy too. I'll go buy that thing. Or we see a commercial. You know, that person who bought that thing isn't lonely. That person who bought that thing isn't sad. That person who bought that thing seems like they're under control. That person who bought that thing has a good job. That person who bought that thing is has turned friendly or has something good going on. Therefore, I will go buy that thing too. Now, we wouldn't say that to ourselves because none of us are quite that deluded, but it is what we're doing. In a very real sense, we are going, I believe that through this item, I will achieve a feeling or a lack therein inside of me that'll make it feel better, right? Like I have these polyhedral dice sets behind me, and they're very cool, very cool. 4 or 5 of them were purchased at a place where I wasn't feeling very good about myself, and I just wanted something shiny and pretty that was for me, that nobody else cared about. Like it was just meant because nobody else. I wanted to show it to my kids and have them go, "Oh, that's so cool!" That would make me feel better. I just wanted someone to say that the thing that was cool. Partly because, you know, I don't get a lot of affirmation from my job, from my family, right? They're not my biggest fans. You know, they don't watch my stuff. They don't listen to me. They don't read my books. They don't read anything. Like just, that's my family. This is the way it works. And so if I'm feeling kind of down and I want them to encourage me or whatever, my stupid brain is like, okay, well, if you get something shiny or cool or interesting or neat, and show it to them, they'll go, oh, that's cool. And then you'll feel that, right? There's lots of reasons to get things that for not the best reasons. And then it goes away, right? And then I buy another one. But I haven't bought one for a while. That solution did not solve anything. We become so focused on the consuming process, and cheap stuff has contributed to all that. It fills a hole. It helps us get stuff, but getting the stuff leads to an emptiness because the void that needs filling, repair, and attention is the relationship we have somehow broken with ourselves. All right? That makes sense, right? We have a psychological need, and we're trying to fill it with a practical item. In a 2022 study on compulsive shopping behaviors, researchers found that more symptoms of compulsive shopping and buying are linked to ego-oriented shopping-related decisions, that a more egoistic everyday moral decision-making style strengthens this relationship. Egoistic everyday moral decision-making refers to making decisions in one's own interest, right? That I guess that makes sense. This is for me. This is about me. This will make me feel better. It doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter who is who gets hurt by this. It doesn't matter what happens in the future. Future me can suck it. Right now in this spot, it'll make me feel better. That's not the same as self-care, right? Based on what I observe, it is the lack or lapse in self-care of truly relating to oneself that drives consumption like this, particularly of unwanted and unneeded items, regardless of the price. Because you're not dealing with yourself psychologically, because you still feel lack, you feel lack of confidence, you feel, lesser worth, you feel unattractive, you feel like you don't have enough friends, you feel out of control, you feel like there's you want love from something or somebody, or you want to security from something. There's stuff going on inside of you that's a lack. And in that lack, or in that desire, in that fear, in that anxiety, or in that want, you have a choice, right? You can either process through that want in a healthy way and go find it or fill it in a healthy way, or realize it's actually coming from a bad place, and so therefore I actually shouldn't want that. I need to figure out a way around that. Where's that coming from, and work through that. Which is self-care, right? Maybe I just need to go for a walk. Maybe I just need, some more water. Maybe I just need to talk this out with somebody, whatever, self-care. Versus I can externalize the solution to a thing, right? A website, or a new journal, or a new calendar, or a new post-it note set, or a new whatever, and that new thing is supposed to kind of make that part feel better and make that work better, because now I'm doing self-care, right? I'm buying a thing for myself that will actually make my life better. And it's not the thing, it's not enough. You still have the hole in your heart and the thing isn't enough to fill it. The stuff that gets shoved into a closet or room that we are ashamed to toss is a metaphor for what we're using to fill ourselves up. It's like eating what is not meant to be food. When there's a pattern like this, there has been a breakdown in the process of discernment, of checking with oneself, of knowing oneself, of caring about oneself. If you're compulsively anythinging, drinking or using chemicals, or you are compulsively playing games or entertaining yourself, or porn, or like anything you're doing that isn't really your choice, it's not really good for you, and you're doing it anyway, but it's coming from a place of an emotional void inside of you, that can be shopping too, right? Like this isn't coming from a place where this is the right decision, discernment. This isn't coming from a place where it'll even solve anything, checking with oneself, right? It's not, and knowing oneself, like I've only seen this in other people. I don't know if it'll even work for me, or I don't know what I'll do, or it makes me feel gross or bad, or it takes away from things that I can do in the future, right? Or do I even like these things, and whatnot? This isn't who I am. All that kind of goes away, but you go get the thing anyway, and it ends up being something that hurts you in the future, or hurts you in the present, or hurts you, like reasonably quickly, because of what you did, because you're trying to fill that emotional void with a thing, or with some, an activity that doesn't actually help. Discernment and the time it takes is a form of self-care. The economists will decide on the tariffs, but we can use their cost as a cause for greater discernment, and by extension, self-care about what we purchase. Yeah, and that, I think that's a much shorter article. I think it has value, though. It's worth us considering the question, right? Why do we do what we do? That's an important part of it. Why do we do what we do? What is the point of our shopping trip today? Why am I scrolling Amazon? Why am I on Instagram? Why am I going through shorts? Why am I working at this hour? Why am I not working? Why am I avoiding? Why am I compelled to? Why am I looking at? If you ask these questions and the answer is, I don't know, it's just something I don't want to think about, I don't want to process, it makes me feel better somehow, kind of thing, it probably is worth double considering again. Is it actually helping you? Is it actually healthy? Is it actually a problem? Is it causing future issues? And then process it through with a friend. Right? Shopping, for some people, this is the big deal. Like for other people, they don't even think about this. I don't care. But for some people, it really does make them feel better. For other people, it's something else. Yelling at people, or a myriad of other things. Flirting. It can hurt you later, but it feels good now. Any comment on that? If not, we're going to do one last article. I'm going to take a bite of my sandwich, and if you guys have something you want to talk about when it comes to this article, I'm more than happy to chat. Otherwise, we'll move on. I appreciate this still here. It's funny because that's a double-edged sword, right? It's an acknowledgement that chat is dead, while at the same time that you care enough to say, "Hey, I am paying attention." I appreciate that. I really do. I don't know where that comes from. Oh, that's yours. That is literally yours. Interesting. So you saw a need and you filled that need. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Double-edged sword, though. Funny. Yeah. Racked with self-doubt right now. I'm desperately not trying to hover over the views count. Desperately just trying to go, it's all right. All right, behind the cushion, thumbs up. Rock and roll. If it fills that emotional void in your soul, let us know, and we'll just disregard the last article. We've reached peak content. Now what? Yeah, I think if you've had a cushion for years, it's good to, exchange it. You probably had enough. Probably had enough. This is from Relevant Magazine, which is a Christian thing. Yes, also that, the butt issue. She needs to fill the seat comfortably. Because maybe we're wrong. Maybe this consumption of a seat cushion could be the thing that changes her completely, and we should just be like, no, shopping actually works. But maybe not. All right. This is about about consumption of media. The last one is consumption of stuff. This is about consumption of media. Huh. Yeah, that's not even close. Well, good for you. That should fill an emotional void. Giving things is nice. Okay, this article is called We've Reached Peak Content, Now What? Hold on, I'm gonna... Okay, there's too much. Right? This is an article called We've Reached Peak Content, Now What? There's too much, too many shows, too many podcasts, too many hot takes from people who haven't blinked since 2019. Every platform is screaming for your attention like a toddler on a sugar crash, and somehow you're supposed to keep up, be informed, be entertained, be spiritually fed, be emotionally regulated, be productive, be rested. Good luck with that. This isn't content anymore. It's a cultural avalanche, and we're all pretending it's fine while quietly melting down. That is true. I don't know if anybody else feels that. That idea of there is just too much. There's just too much. I think we've felt that for years, especially as the AI and especially as the algorithm gets to know us better, and as the system, as more and more people are able to create content because everybody has a phone, which has a camera, a high-def camera and a decent microphone, and everybody can now has access to high-speed internet, so they can take it with them and like go places and always upload, and there's pictures and competitive, and their whole personality is online. Like more and more and more and more and more stuff is being put out there to see. And because you're living with the FOMO of, someone's like, oh, you didn't see that movie, you didn't see that show, you didn't see that moment, you didn't see that meme, you didn't play that game, you didn't read that article, you didn't know that about the news, you didn't know that about the country, you didn't know that about the economy, you didn't know that about the war, you didn't know that about China, you didn't know that about, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm an idiot and I don't know anything and I haven't experienced anything. I better experience all the things just in case somebody asks me about it, right? Then I don't have to look like I've got my head stuck in the sand. And you end up consuming and consuming. Plus, because we have emotional hold and emotional problems, it fills the void. We just talked about silence for like an hour and a half, and we choose to not be silent by consuming media. It's very good at that. The Shorts feed, TikTok feed are absolutely perfectly designed to keep you watching, right? They have done study after study after study of the fact that it is meant to give you the proper hit at the proper time to keep you scrolling, keep you distracted, keep you consuming, keep you a little bit entertained, a little shot of dopamine every now and again to keep you addicted and keep you on there. That's people are getting better at that. We have created technologies in current modern society that we are not humanly capable of dealing with. Like, for example, an AI girlfriend, right? There are people out there, humans out there, that are not psychologically okay, and that is not going to do them any good. We've created an AI, another good one, that will think for us, right? Like we don't have to be creative. We just say, be creative for me. Write a song for me, draw a picture for me, write my article for me. There are kids even today, after only a couple years of this, that they don't know how to think anymore. They don't know how to write anymore. They don't know how to anything anymore. They just ask ChatGPT everything, and it just dumps it into their lap. We as humans, I don't think we're meant to have life that smooth, where the entire existence of humanity can be accessed within a prompt, and that all of the information in the world can be dumped into our eyeballs and into our brains, and exactly what entertains us down to the fabric of our being, super nailed in, is exactly what we what keeps us entertained, and the exact level of titillation when it comes to our sinful stuff, whether it be gambling or whether it be porn or whether it be anything, is literally like just zoned in for us, man. Our own personal matrix, that we as a human species are not sufficient for the technologies we've created for ourselves. It is bad. It is bad. Like, we're creating Skynet and in myriad ways, and we're toast. We're just going to be toast. And now that you're moving into places where it's at the place where like AI film and AI pictures and AI personalities are all very they sound human. Like we passed the I think we passed the singularity. We also passed the the test was, right? The Turing test and whatever that, like, we're there. We've arrived at creating another form of life that is this AI that is very dangerous for our brains. Same thing with all the stuff we're consuming. YouTube is a great example. There's millions and billions of minutes every day. And so therefore, no matter what you want, you can find it. No matter what you want. I don't think humans are built for that. We're not built for that. We need lack. We need confusion. We need time that we need to study. We need to practice. We need to not be good at something, so we go find another human being that will do the thing. As opposed to us being completely, totally self-sufficient, not needing another human being for anything. That's bad for us. I think in the same way, let's start with the numbers. Nielsen reports the average American adult now spends more than 10 hours a day engaged with digital media. That's an average, right? 10 hours a day. That should be crazy, right? That's more time than you spend at work. That's more time than you spend with any other being. That is a lot. And that includes streaming, scrolling, listening, and watching, often more than one screen at a time. How many people here watching Netflix with their phone in their hands, or watching a stream while playing a game, while watching a video, while having a phone in your hands, and drinking some Rogue? Like, we one thing at a time is not possible, let alone the silence thing, man. We're just endlessly streaming, scrolling, listening, watching, often more than one screen at a time. We're not unwinding. We're overstimulated, fragmented, and digitally exhausted. Fragmented, I think, is a great word there, because it's the word that means that we are falling apart, right? We're falling apart, right? Heck yeah, they are. That's their job. Don't fall for it, man. The only ad you need is ! Taco need. Taco needs. That's the only ad for you. But we're fragmented. That means our time is fragmented, our attention is fragmented, our relationships are fragmented, our entertainment is fragmented, our purpose is fragmented. Like, we're just shattered glass. Whereas we wonder why we're not put together, why we don't feel whole, why we don't feel confident, why we don't feel like we got a handle on stuff. If everything we are doing is spread and fractured and pieces of, and just like a dumping of 3 different Lego boxes in front of us, and going, here, life. No wonder, man. No wonder. Sam said, oh yeah, I'll walk into the living room, get sucked into the TV, then ask my sister about a thing that happened, and she'll look from her phone and reply, I wasn't watching it. Yeah, why is it on? Exactly. Why is it on? Because noise in my brain makes me not have to think. And it's not anecdotal. A 2024 report from the American Psychological Association linked chronic media exposure to higher rates of anxiety, burnout, and attention disorders. And the world went, no duh. The World Health Organization has started identifying screen-induced fatigue as a mental health risk, especially among Gen Z and millennials. And yes, your endless queue of edifying content counts too, right? Oh, it's okay. I listen to Christian music. It's okay. I only listen to podcasts from Christians. It's okay. I only read books. It's okay. I only do sermons online. It's okay. I only do classes. That's also consumption, right? I can't tell you how many Bible study junkies I have met that they don't even engage, man. They just want to be part of a Bible study because that's where life happens, and they want, they can't, they go home and watch TV. They're like, I shouldn't be watching TV. I should be at a Bible study. And so they're part of 17 Bible studies. And it's like they're not getting anything out of them. They just are part of them. They're consuming, but they're not processing. But we are. Screen-induced fatigue is a mental health risk. Yep, no silence. Meanwhile, Barna's study found that 58% of practicing Christians under 30 report feeling spiritually unfocused most days. And the world went, no duh. Right? Like if everybody is distracted all the time and the average person is spending 10 hours on social media, and most of us have mental health issues and have no silence in our life, and we're trying to fill it using consumerism and cultural offerings, then yeah, you're going to feel spiritually unfocused. That's such a generous way to put it. You know, that's pretty generous. Potato says, I'm looking for a new church, just something closer to home family. And my soul is longing for something where there's not just a screen in the middle of the stage. Amen. Yeah. I mean, I'm not against church. Whatever you call it. Like, what are those called? The churches that are, in different locations. Not a multi-site church. I'm not against that. But every church, every place needs to have a personal engagement on a human level with people. And it can feel very distant when all the sermon is just to a huge amount of people and you're just like watching as opposed to engaging. It feels like a performance rather than God's word to you. Yeah. If it is the thing. Yeah, exactly. The same study showed that more than half admitted to doom scrolling or binge watching even when emotionally drained. Probably because of being emotionally drained. I have to be really careful with shorts. I used to dislike them. And like even a year ago, I would have said I dislike shorts. They're not fun. They're not funny. They're not interesting. I don't care. Then, everybody's like, you need to try them, get the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. And so I started watching a little bit and I found I got to be careful because thank you for not being a butt. Because when I start, man, there have been times I've been up till 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm not watching. I'm just flick. I'm not learning. I'm not paying attention. I'm not entertained. I'm not anything. It's just doom scrolling. And so therefore whenever I launch shorts, I'm like this, that you're about to get sucked into something bad. So like you get like 10 and then you got to turn this thing off because otherwise it's going to be a problem. Maybe when you're in the bathroom, maybe when you're just waiting for something somewhere, that's okay. But yeah, if it's at night, I'm toast. I can't do it. Hopefully we're talking. So we started talking about silence. This article on when you stop, life speaks. Then we went into how shopping, consumerism steals. Now we're talking about how the world is so full of content, it's killing us. Hello there. Hello. We don't rest because we're tired. We consume because we don't rest because we're tired. We consume because we're numb. Our brain, I don't know how many nights in a row I've been like, I need to go to sleep. I need to go to sleep. One more episode, one more short, one more anything. So it's just like, if I know that I'm doing damage to myself, to my body, to my next day, to my content, to my purpose, why did I turn on one more episode? What is the deal there? Because of the emotional draining, because of the doom scrolling, the binge watching, because I'm tired and I'm not making good decisions, right? To numb whatever's happening. It's not just me and it's not just you, it's everybody. Almost everybody. Yeah, rest. It's hard to find and it's hard to make unless you choose to have it. Even our attempts at rest are infected. We've commercialized self-care. We've turned quiet time into content. Your devotional journal has a color palette now. Your Sabbath table is getting Instagram worthy. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to minimalist Christian routines that somehow makes you feel busier than before. Oof. Yeah. Our attempts at rest are infected. We commercialize self-care. As in, you can't do self-care properly if you don't have the right book and the right pillow and the right chair and the right devotional guide and the right journal and the right pen and the right music and the right headphones and the right vibe and the right scented candle and the right snack and the right water bottle. And then you can start doing self-care. Commercialized, right? We turned quiet time into content. every time you sit down, or some people, they sit down, and I struggle with this sometimes. You read the Bible, and you start. I read the Bible because I want to read the Bible and talk to God and whatever. And it's like, oh, I think this would make a good talk on stream. Oh, this would be something to I should share with somebody else. And then some people, they instinctually, they don't even think about it. They tweet or they post or they take a picture to share with the world. In their mind, in the most innocent way, it's like, well, I'm just praising God by sharing what he told me. But what we're doing there is we're sucking ourselves out of that silence. We're pulling ourselves away from the meditative side of it. And we are turning our devotional life into display. And that, Matthew 6, man, that's what we're not supposed to do. You're supposed to sit in your closet. But the problem is we bring our phone with us to the closet, and then we take a selfie in the closet, right? There is some values in these things for people who don't know how to do those things. It's a hard thing to balance. So yeah, I think this is the overconsumption. I think literally we're not talking about zero consumption. We're talking about overconsumption, right? That's like saying you should stop watching all sermons because you watch too many sermons. No, it's the overconsumption, right? Like that's the issue. And ukulele is especially sensitive to this because, part of her mission is to help people who don't do devos, who don't worship well, who don't have a consistent time with God, to be able to help them learn how to do that, right? So she is content. Ukulele worship is content. And so she's using her content to try to help folks. And I agree, it's totally there. I think this is speaking to people who are compelled as opposed to trying to get something out of it or trying to get help. They're just doing it, and they can't stop. So how do you solve it? What are we supposed to do? Go off grid, become Luddites, delete every app and live in the woods? I've tried the delete every app thing. It just end up downloading different apps. Not exactly, but in a world that commodifies your time, energy, and even your rest, Sabbath might be the most radical, countercultural, holy practice we have left. Commodifies, right? Turns you into a commodity, turns into something that you sell or that is sold to you. Your time, your energy, and even your rest. Come here, give us money, you'll be able to be on vacation, you'll be able to rest. Come here, give us money, we'll give you a massage, you'll be able to rest. Buy this pillow, you'll finally be able to rest. Buy this silence thingy, this meditative couch something, and you'll be able to rest, right? Like you'll have more time you'll have more energy if you drink this drink and do this thing and take this diet and buy my book. And we've commodified time, energy, rest. Thank you for that. Sabbath is a scheduled weekly reminder that we are not what we do, rather we are who we are loved by. AJ Swoboda of Subversive Sabbath. So the Sabbath, by definition, is us releasing control and releasing our desire to create and our desire to self-indulge and whatnot. Like what we're doing is a meditative couch. Yeah, there you go. It's like sleep, right? So God has given us sleep for a reason. And one of the reasons that we have sleep is because it is a spiritual necessity for us to let go of planet Earth for that time that we sleep. We must release and trust every single night. You have to do it. You have to go and trust the person around you, or you have to trust that the world will keep spinning without you, or you have to trust that the work that you've done in that day it has sufficient momentum that you don't need to attend to it anymore. You have to, it is an act of trust, it is an act of faith, it is an act of release. You are forced to do because your biology will kill you if you don't, right? Sabbath is a choice, and we're supposed to do the same thing. Sabbath is one where we let go of work and we let go of the plans and we let go of the production, right? And we do something different than we normally do. That's we're letting go. And and it doesn't have to be absolutely nothing. Back in the day, one of the ways that church and Christians or whatever confused this was that you had to sit cross-legged in your itchy pants and nobody was allowed to do anything. That's Sabbath, right? That goes right back to what the Pharisees were doing, making a bunch of rules that didn't exist, right? You can't play soccer on the Sabbath. You can't, wash your car on the Sabbath. You can't do anything on the Sabbath. You can't go to a restaurant on Sabbath. Like none of that's true. That's not in the Bible. All Sabbath is meant to be is the definition I use is a day different, right? So if all week long you sit, maybe on Sunday move. If all week long you move, maybe on Sunday sit. If all week long you produce and you work and you use your hands, maybe take a rest and use your brain. If you all week long all you do is think and type and work, maybe on Sunday use your hands. If you're always alone, maybe be together. If you're always surrounded by people, maybe be alone. The idea is it is a day different, where you are letting go of the natural rhythm of your life and the things all that you control and all the stuff that you do to make sure that you do. And you're saying, God, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to do things different. I trust you. I'm letting go. And I know that I'm a human being, not a human doing, as they say. Here I go. And I'm just going to, go. I'm going to worship you and I'm going to sing. I'm going to hang out. My schedule is going to be flexible rather than rigid. And I'm going to be open to whatever you have to do that day. Right? It's the folks that are rushing around on Sunday, barring the church worship team. They don't count because they have the Sabbath elsewhere. But the people who are trying to lock in a million things on Sunday are definitely doing it wrong or not as good as they could, because the idea is that you are meant to work outside of that pressure of 9 to 5, 7 to 9, 9 to 8 a.m. to get out of that, right? That's what you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to let go, let God run that day. The ancient Jewish, sort of practice of get stuff done on Saturday and just let go on Sunday is the idea. Now they took that, they co-opted it, they turned it evil, and they made it a burden, right? People hated Sabbath by the time Jesus came around. Right? They're like, man, Sabbath sucks. It's just, you're not allowed to do anything. I'm not allowed to light a fire if I get cold. I'm not allowed to tie a knot. I'm not allowed to walk more than like 2 blocks. Like, this sucks. My life is actually worse on Sabbath. God must really hate it when I'm comfortable. And that's what they thought. And Jesus comes, he's like, no. I made Sabbath for you as a gift. I didn't make you so you could perform the Sabbath, right? You guys are taking a gift and turning it into a problem. And that's not what's supposed to happen. That stillness isn't just good for your soul, it's biblical. Sabbath appears in the 10 Commandments right alongside not killing anyone or stealing your neighbor's goat. That is a really, really good reminder that Sabbath rest is in God's universal, all-time, forever moral law, right? If you are against murder, and you are against adultery, and you are against thievery, and you are against lying, and you're against adultery, against those things, and you think those are bad, and you're like, well, God said those are pretty bad. You shouldn't do that. Keep in mind, Sabbath rest is in the same list. That means it's one of the 10 top things that God is really, 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 really trying to make sure that is important, right? And if for some reason you're like, well, I'm not going to kill anybody, but I am going to work on Sunday, and I am not going to have a day during the week, and I don't trust God for that. I'm going to make sure that I schedule every single time, and I'm going to make going to church miserable for me and miserable for my family, and I'm going to make sure that it's, nobody's happy, because all we're going to do is fight and be miserable the whole time. And then we're going to go out for lunch because you have to go out for lunch, and we're going to be miserable there. And then you have to go visit somebody because, you got to keep up appearances. So you got to, and then you at night, you better do your reading, and you better, you're breaking the Sabbath, and therefore as bad as a murderer. Well, maybe not, but still, this is something we got to get right. Apparently, if I'm far away from food, I need to starve because I'm rubbing grains in my hands is work. Yeah, the back in the day, right? They would thresh. That's what they would do. They'd grab, wheat, a pile. They'd do this, and then they throw in some, some crunchies, and that was like a snack. And the law said, don't harvest right to the edge. Leave the edges for the poor people. And then the poor people would come by and they would, take the food and be able to eat some food. And, that was God's law. That's a good thing. Be generous. And then the Pharisees are like, yeah, but if you do this on a Saturday, God hates you. And then everybody was upset again. Hey there, Jones. Yeah, we're talking about Sabbath, man. Put it right alongside not killing anyone or stealing your neighbor's goat. God didn't suggest it, he commanded it, and yet it might be the most consistently ignored commandment in modern Christian life. It might be. I mean, adultery, there's a lot of that. Killing people in our hearts, there's a lot of that. You know, maybe lying, there's a lot of that. But certainly I don't hear people, you did? Oh, fantastic, man. I'm glad. That's good news. I hope it went well. But yeah, it's a commandment. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, reads Exodus 28. The Hebrew word for holy means set apart, as in not like the others. A day different, a day special, not like the others. Not just another day to get ahead or catch up, a day to stop. This is one of the big important things about rest and Sundays and Sabbath, is that the way that often people see it is the day that they can catch up on housework, right? It's well, all week long I work, and so on Sunday I'm going to work at home. All day long, all week long I ignore whatever, and I don't. So therefore, I'm going to on Sunday. I'm going to fit all that in on Sunday. That's when I'm gonna clean the house, and I'm going to mow the lawn, and I'm going to play a sport. You know, I'm getting like all week long. I'm doing, so I'm going to cram all this stuff in on a Sunday, and it ends up working against you, because it is not a day two where you've stopped or you've let go or you've released the calendar or you are trying to do things in a different way or trusting God. You're like, God, thanks for Sunday. You know, thanks for making that a thing. I'll take it from here. I will tell you what I will be doing with my Sunday, as opposed to spending time. So some people, they can't even sit in church, man. They have to work when they're at church. Well, I gotta work with the kids, or I gotta be an usher, or I gotta be on the worship team, or I gotta, do a thing. Otherwise, I can't just sit in church. That's crazy talk. I have to serve the coffee, and I have to make sure that I'm there, even though I do that all week long and I'm still working. I wouldn't, I can't, I have to be able to keep moving, and stopping is just no good. It just doesn't work for me. It's an illness. It's a sickness, man. Gonna build a bookshelf? Rock and roll, man. Good for you. Is it a IKEA one, like pre-made? Sunday afternoon naps are a command from the Lord. Maybe not quite, but it's not a bad rule. Pastors take a day off too. They usually what pastors do is they take a day off during the week. I've known pastors every single day. My day off was always Monday. And then I was told by many wise pastors that is the dumbest day to take off, because you're not going to enjoy it. And they're not wrong. I took a Monday off because I was pretty fried from Sunday, and I'm like, I'm going to rest and I'll get back to work. And the wise, the smarter, intelligent pastors would be like, well, here's what you do. Take Monday and do all the office work. Go into the office, check your email, follow up on phone calls, do the stuff that doesn't require creativity or very much brains. Then on Friday, take a day off and enjoy it, because now you're good. And as much as I agreed with that, I was never able to pull it off. I was too tired. Mythically Amy, hello, good to see you. Are we saying we shouldn't work in the church? No, what I'm saying is that there are people who can't stop, right? That they should be served at that time, because they spend their whole life serving, or they spend their whole life working, they spend their whole life doing. And on Sunday, there are people who for them, they can't be in a rotation. They can't be, waiting on, for their turn. They're like, I need to be in charge. I need to be able to do it. I need to make sure that it's all happening. I need to be controlling this situation. I need to be active and moving all the time. It's for them, that's a problem, right? For them, just sitting and being served, they can't handle it. Just sitting and listening, they can't handle it. They have to keep going. That is a problem. No, dude, that's how the streaming works, man. I'm always in the middle. I've been in the middle of a convo for 3 hours and 6 minutes. But yeah, that's the idea. It's not a rule. That's the most important thing. Pharisaically speaking, the Pharisees would have been like, no, you cannot work on a Sunday. Nobody should, right? And that is not the rule. The rule is if you struggle with letting go or if you're in charge of a bunch of stuff during the week, maybe don't be in charge of stuff on Sunday. If like on Sunday specifically, at service, kind of thing, maybe let that go. Whereas if you, all week long, you're just kind of like, you're doing maintenance work or you're like doing things with your hands or whatever. Maybe on Sunday, you're like, you know what? On Sunday, I want to serve people. I want to be part of something different, artistic or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. We need people to serve on Sunday or Sunday wouldn't happen. But is it a problem for you? And is it pulling you away from Sabbath or is it helping you with Sabbath? Pride is the issue, not letting people serve you. Absolutely. I think every position on rotation. Yeah, rotation is a good thing. I strongly believe in not only the rotation of servants, people in the church that are doing stuff, but also in like term limits for deacons and elders. I think it's super critical. I think it's crazy if you don't have it in your church, because what ends up happening is people serve out of guilt and they serve out of control and they serve for bad reasons because they, if the Constitution is like, you can't, you're not allowed, go take a year off and you're not allowed to come back to the board, then the church has to raise up leaders. They have to let that person go and have a rest. They can't guilt trip them into staying for another year. That's the idea. That's what term limits are for. Every church I know that has one is always like, well, we'll just have a vote to get rid of that for this year. Crazy stuff. Yo, thank you, Araja. 201. The Bits Ninja returns and drops the bits. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. My pastor, deacons, and elders lead in the summers. Yeah. Has the deacons and elders lead in the summers. Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's one of the things, sharing the pulpit and having other people come in and getting missionaries to come in. That's all a good thing. The idea is those who are in charge and pastors and servants and worship leaders and stuff, they have to happen. Sunday school teachers, but they don't have the right to, or they're not allowed to work 7 days, right? They're not. What they are allowed to do is they got to find time to rest somewhere, somewhere, right? You got to do it. You're not allowed not to. For a pastor, you got to find it sometime during the week. For other servants to find it. Some worship people, they really struggle with it because the only time they know how to worship is with an instrument in their hands. They don't know how to listen. They don't know how to sit, and they don't know how to just be served. The only way they can worship is with an instrument in their hands. That's a discipline they have to cultivate, right? Yeah, it's not meant to be super complicated, but at the same time, there's a heart to it. It is a heart to it, and the heart is: are you letting go and are you trusting God? Is this a day different than your usual day? That is actually demonstrating to God that you trust Him with your time, with your talent, with your treasure, with your the stuff, just all of it. Do you trust God and you're letting go of it, or are you still like kind of in charge, right? Like I'm on break, but I'm still taking calls from work. Yes, I'm on Sabbath, but I'm still checking my email. Yes, I'm on Sabbath, but I'm going to go do work at the church. Even though I'm a gardener all week long, I'm going to garden at church, but it's for the church, right? That, you're being fudgy. You're not within the spirit of what you're supposed to be doing there. And one of the other problems with the church, they will often guilt trip people a lot into not having a Sabbath. We need more servants. We need to do more stuff. We need to serve the community. We have people. We got, what about the kids? And so they will guilt trip people into not having Sabbath. And they'll make people very, very tired. And what ends up happening is they don't just get tired and say, hey, can I have a break? They get tired, then they get resentful, and then they leave. They don't come back. And they don't say that they left because they got squeezed dry and they weren't allowed to have a rest. They just leave. And then the church goes, oh no, we lost another servant. We better panic some more and get more people to work. Not stop doing things. Not cut down the schedule, not cut down the amount of committees that they have, but squeeze dry more of the volunteers, more of the people that have the gift of helps. One reason I think having a church closer to home is going to be a reduction of mobilization stress. And also you could be around people. One of the things that keeps people from meeting together is if you are part of a church that's far away, right? Like, I'm going to go to small group, but I got to get in the car and drive 30 minutes as opposed to a local church where you only got to do 5, or you can walk there, right? That will make your life easier and will be less time in the car. Yeah. Everything with an open hand is a very helpful phrase I've used when noticed I'm holding onto things and not letting God have control. Yep. Well, that's what I was saying before about sleep. You must sleep, which means your hands must let go. Otherwise, you'll die. If you don't let go and go to sleep, you'll die. That's how God set it up. You're forced to. Sabbath is the choice to let go, right? Choice to let go. In the same way that when you're trying to find out God's will, and this is what we were talking about before with this When You Stop Doing Life Speaks article, is I'm making the willful decision to just hit the brakes, get alone, and not fill that space in a form of obedience, right? In-laws church, hey man, you know what? That could go both ways. I can understand that. Worth thinking about. Yeah. Okay. Not just another get ahead, catch up, data stop. Not slow down. Not multitask with lo-fi worship in the background. Stop. And this has been the theme of the day, and it's something I definitely struggle with, is stopping. Because I like I said before, I always feel like I'm in the wrong spot. If I'm in bed, I feel like I should be out with people. If I am out with people, I feel like I should be out with different people. If I'm working, I think I should be working on something else or resting. And if I'm resting, I should be working. I always feel like I'm in the wrong spot. Thank you, Sticks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the follow. And so therefore, where are you? Where am I when I'm stopped? I'm nowhere, right? I'm definitely in the wrong spot. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, Mythical Amy. Mythical Emmy. It is hard for me to stop, especially when I see my value in production and connection with others. You know, my job as pastor is to connect with others, to serve others, to help others, to counsel others. My job as dad is to take care of the people that I've been given. You know, their lives are the ones I'm supposed to take care of. As a husband, I'm supposed to take care of my wife, you know, that kind of stuff. And so therefore, if I'm stopped, who am I taking care of? Right? And the answer to stopped, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. The answer to stopped is I'm letting God take care of them. I'm giving them over to my heavenly Father, who is better at this than I am, actually. And that is why is that so hard, right? If God himself were to come down, you know, and be like, hey, stop, let me take care of this for a minute. You'd be like, definitely. I have been asking for help for forever, man. Yeah, for sure. I take it. What do you want me to do? Go lay down. Okay. But he doesn't say that to you verbally. He says it in scripture. He says it in scripture. It's still just as authoritative. He just doesn't have to be looking you dead in the eye and saying it. Right? Can you recommend a faith-based song? You can recommend one in the music section of our Discord. That's why we have that one. So by all means, go join the Discord, join the community, come say hey, learn, meet some people. Join the multi community server that is the taco server, full of hundreds of people who love each other and are trying to serve each other and pray for each other and hang out with each other and do cool stuff and also share music together. So yes, by all means, but that's where to do it. Mythical Amy says, I am learning the hard way. Whoop, back. I'm learning the hard way of the you need to stop, not just slow down. Now my body just will fully stop and not allow me to do anything else. Been a fun lesson to be learning. Okay, so I did a talk to Asmund Gold. I'm going to actually release it as a video that says, to Asmund Gold, watch this. And it was about burnout. It's about burnout. So today's theme is about taking a break, what that means. So stopping and then not shopping and actually stopping. And Asmund Gold wants to stop. That's what we're talking about today. And so when I said to him, is you Your body will stop for you if you don't stop in a healthy way, right? You will Sabbath. It's going to happen. You will rest, but you're either going to have a really, really bad rest because your body and your mind fell apart and things are bad, or you're going to take one beforehand and you can govern it and give it over to God, and you can actually do it well and right and actually be healthy, right? You're going to have it. You're going to have a Sabbath. It's going to happen. Your sabbatical will occur, whether because you were in the hospital or because you have chosen to take one, but it's going to happen, right? That is an important thing for everybody to recognize, is that you're going to take a break. Your body will take a break. Your mind will take a break. Your heart will take a break. It will happen. Question is, do you want to do the fun one? Or do you want to do the not as fun one? And I highly recommend the fun one. I don't recommend burnout. I don't recommend being so spiritually dry that your soul is like a shriveled raisin that can't decide what's right and wrong anymore and blows up your entire universe and all your relationships because you didn't stop to pray, right? I don't recommend the one where your body falls out from underneath you. You don't have knees left. Your hips are toast. Your stomach is full of ulcers. You always have headaches because you didn't stop to rest, right? Like that. I recommend the better one, right? But you're going to have one either way. Okay, yeah. Also, if health stuff not fully burnt out. Yeah. Or go for chill walks, man. Yeah, let's go. But stopping feels unnatural now. We live in a culture where stillness is suspicious. If you're not posting, people assume you're not doing anything. If you're not creating, producing, grinding, and upgrading, you're seen as lazy or behind. And that's not just a secular problem. Hustle culture has infiltrated spirituality too. This is true because we're very affected by our culture, and we are very easily swayed by them, right? So, like I just said, stopping feels weird. Where am I if I'm stopped? I'm nowhere. We live in a culture where stillness is suspicious. What's your answer to what are you doing? Like if someone says, "Hey, how you doing?" What's your answer? Almost always. You're either going to be fine, or what's the other word? What's the word that you always use if someone says, "How you doing?" And let's see if you guys can come up with it, because it's the word we all use. The correct answer to "How are you doing?" that isn't the word "fine." What kind of breaks do you recommend? Games, walks, drawing, lo-fi, whatever is the thing that gets you to where you need to be is a good one, and is generally the counterpoint to what to what you usually do, right? Busy. Answer busy. Thank you, ukulele. How you doing? Busy. Right? What's up? Busy. Right? And the answer you say busy is because if you say nothing, I ain't doing jack squat. In fact, I haven't done anything all day. In fact, for the last week, not a thing. Not a thing. I produced methane. That's it. That's all I've done for the entire. I've contributed to global warming. That's literally my only thing I've done. You will feel guilty. That you'll be like, "Oh, that's not the right answer," and that person will be like, "What do you mean you've done nothing? Are you just like?" It's a problem. And if you can't be still and it's suspicious for you to be doing nothing, you better keep going, right? You otherwise you're lazy. Otherwise you are you're just you're sucking the teat. Otherwise you are you're a bad person. It's that's true. Coping, there's a good one. Coping, that's a good answer. But yeah, no, the answer to your question, Brian, I would say is something that you don't usually do. That isn't part of your normal routine, Monday, sort of Monday to Friday kind of thing. And that actually gets you to a place of rest, of decompression, of time, of being present, that's flexible-ish kind of thing. Like, so if that's it, like you play video games all week, maybe don't. Right? If you are all about, meeting with people and being around people, maybe be alone. Right? Things like that. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for not being a bot. So yeah, I've left my carbon footprints as input. I have too. That's generally not the rule, but that's the general principle. right? I do great, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to do things because it happened. No, it doesn't not do things. You don't have to, that's the idea. You have to do different things. Sabbath is a day different. You just like, okay, so all week long I sit, now I'm going to go stand. All week long I lecture, now I'm going to go listen. All week long I create content. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to not create anything. I'm just going to be in nature or some jazz. It's just designed that you're letting whatever it is you hold on to all week long, your money and your time and your family and your security and your future and all the stuff that you're hanging on to. On Sunday, you're letting it go, right? You're just like, here, God, take it from here. That's what we're doing. Did we get a prayer request? Donna said, popping into request prayers for an unspoken situation in my extended family. Sure, Donna. Give me a sec. Lord, thank you that you are with us. You know Donna, you know the family, you know the situation. I do pray for wisdom, pray for patience, I pray for understanding, and also that they would be able to see that all good things work for the good of those who love them, and so that they would be able to find love for you and each other through it. It's not easy, but at the same time, it's something that we know that you understand better than us, and you already have a plan for. So help Donna and her family come in line with the plan. Amen. Yeah. Talk of wrestling. I just now crashed on the couch. Hello from my PS5. Yeah, and that's a good thing. You know what? It's a good thing, man. It's totally fine. It is. You need to be honest with yourself. Like, it's the same thing we did with the shopping, right? You have to go shopping. That's where the food is. That's where your batteries for your remote are. Like that, you gotta go shopping. The question is, why are you there? Right? If you're trying to fill a hole in your heart through the stuff that you are consuming, and you figure that getting that thing is going to make you a better person, more attractive, more happy, more, just better, it's going to fill that hole inside of you. Probably not a good reason to get it. In the same way, right, when it comes to the Sabbath stuff, the motive matters. Why are you doing what you're doing? If it's like, I'm trying to gain because I don't want to think, I don't want to feel, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want anything. I am literally, it is not me trying to get away, it is me trying to avoid something that I know I'm supposed to be doing. Well, maybe think through that, right? Maybe that's not the best place to be. Maybe you do need to talk to somebody. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it restful? Is it good? Is it helpful? Right? Some people get really panicky about it. Am I doing it right? Am I resting hard enough? Like, are you there? Are you enjoying it? Are you entrusting yourself to God? Like, there's no rule. What's your motive? I will stretch. Thank you, DJ. I've done a lot of impulse buys lately. Mind you, it's stuff I hope I'll make use of. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. If you have a liquid, and a little bit extra money, nothing too bad about that. But again, motive matters. If you're not posting, people assume you're not doing anything. You're not creating, producing, grinding, upgrading. You're seen as lazy or behind. That's true of content creators, man. If you are there, maybe I should be putting this on Instagram. Maybe I should be making a video. Maybe I should be thinking about how I can talk about this on stream. Maybe I think I can talk about this on my podcast. How can I use this spiritual insight I just got that was supposed to be for you to think about? How can you use that as content? All that stuff. Maybe I should be getting more exercise. Maybe I should be, what if I'm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Should I do counseling because that make me better? If you're not seen as doing and it needs to be productive, then you are doing it wrong. That's the problem. This is the problem, right? So you're trying to be in a place where you are being, not doing, abiding. Hustle culture. Hustle culture is a fascinating trend because it means the things that you love to do, you've decided that you want to not love anymore. Picture it didn't happen, yeah. So, like, for example, boy, you really love carpentry or doing puzzles or drawing, right? You really get joy from that. You practice it. It actually brings you pleasure. And it makes you creative and you're just kind of doing it. And when you're there, you're vibing. Good for you. And someone comes up and says, you're good at that. You should monetize that. You should do that for. Have you thought about doing that for a living? You should do that for other people. You should be using that for others and making money from it and putting it on Etsy. and then you're like, oh, should I? Like, I know we need money, and I know that I'm supposed to be serving others with my gifts, and I know I'm this is something I'm good at, and what was a blessing to you, and just between you and God and people that you cared about, you've now turned into a job, and now you have no rest in it. Now it's pulling from your life, and now it's draining instead of filling you, and that's just plain old dumb, right? That's just plain old dumb. I've definitely seen that as a problem. One of the things I'm doing right now is using devos I've written previously for stream while I read and process new material and not use it on stream. Yes, that's very good. And it's dangerous for a pastor too. And that, if you do your devos and God speaks to you, maybe I should tell everybody about that, because, maybe he's speaking to the whole congregation, blah, blah, blah. And you end up, every prayer is said publicly, every insight is shared, every, sort of like, you never really do your own relationship with God, because you're always trying to, serve. And it comes from a good place, but it ends up draining. You're never filling. Your cup is only emptying. You're never filling the cup back up. I've seen people do that for cosplayers. I tend to defend them that they shouldn't. Yeah, and they shouldn't, right? Like, you seem to enjoy that. How about you don't? Literally is what they're saying. What if you made that thing that you enjoyed not enjoyable anymore? Wouldn't that be fun? Doesn't that sound demonic when you say it like that? Right? Wow, you really do connect with God and connect with others, enjoy that and fill yourself up and give yourself ability to be able to have space and time to think so that you be able to function better in the world. What if we made that more difficult on you and you actually started to hate it? Doesn't that sound like something Satan would say? Something like the devil would say to you? Trying to destroy the thing that brings you peace? Trying to turn it into something that ends up being a curse? The blessing that God gave you of the ability to draw or to do carpentry or to whatever is now the thing you should do that makes you miserable or makes you sad, it makes you tired, it makes you resent it. That sounds like a demon, if you ask me. Swag says, hey, heck, I'm guilty of trying to make Bible reading and studying a hustle, and made me think of it as work. Yeah, it is unhealthy. It's a cultural thing. It's very unhealthy. Speaking of cosplay, I found a pair of pants at Aldi's that I bought that make me want to lean into the idea of cosplaying Kim Possible. Yo! Yes! Kim Possible. That'd be great. And then you get to wear tactical wear, man. Better than tactical wear. You'd have pockets for days. And a belt. And a gun. No, a grappling hook. I might have a belt. There you go. Jones has got a Kim Possible. There's some trivia for the day. Jones has a Kim Possible belt. Let's find that lore out. Where'd that come from? Why you got a girl-sized belt? For what? I'm just teasing you, Jones. I'm just teasing Jones. He's a friend. I'm allowed. Okay. Where are we? I expected the hardest thing for me to find to finish that cosplay would be the gloves. I find comfortable enough to keep wearing. Oh yeah. Cosplay is uncomfortable. One of the reasons I haven't done it is like, oh yeah, because this one wears an eye patch. I don't want to wear an eye patch. This one has a big belly, so you have to wear a pillow. I don't want to wear a pillow. This one carries a sword. That sounds heavy. I don't know. Maybe I'm a big baby. The great irony of Sabbath keeping is how hard it is for us to say no to people. But how with such ease we say no to being at rest with God. We say no to people, but such ease of saying no to being at rest with God. And I don't know what quite that means. Because I think people have a hard time saying no, especially Christians. who have an opportunity to do stuff on a Sunday. They'll usually say yes, right? Then they probably should say no more. I cosplay as a t-shirt guy who always wears t-shirts. Little effort. Yeah, I'm going as tired dad walking next to cosplayer. Jesus modeled Sabbath rhythms even while saving the world. He withdrew. He said no to crowds. He slept through storms. He disappointed expectations. And when his followers tried to guilt him for healing on the Sabbath, he reminded them the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. This is a great reminder. I preached this sermon a few times, and that is how Jesus disappointed people. And it's like, what? Like, yeah, think about it, man. Like when he was in Antioch, somewhere, and he was healing all day long, all night long. He woke up probably after like 2 hours sleep, right? And then he goes out to hang out with God. You're like, Jesus! Wow, Zach. He goes out to pray, talk to God about stuff, be with his Heavenly Father, and then they go find him. Where are you, Jesus? And he's like, I'm doing devos. And they're like, you need to come back to town because you got real popular yesterday. There's a whole bunch of people, they want healing. There's a bunch of people who need, to be helped and taught, and you got to get back here. And his answer was, no, let's go somewhere else. And then he went somewhere else, leaving a town full of people who were still sick and still had problems and still didn't understand stuff, and left them, walked away. And it's like, wow, he disappointed an entire town of people that he went to after blessing them and helping them for a whole day. If he did that, right, then is it okay for us to say no to some good things? Yeah, right? There's an old leadership principle that says you have to be able to say no to good things to say yes to great things. And if you fill your life with good things, but not with the great things, or the things that you're supposed to be doing, or the things that you'd be best at, or the things that would be the best for you, you will not be able to do the best. You will only ever do the mediocre, right? You must be able to disappoint people by saying no in order for you to be able to say yes to the right things. And that's very similar when it, like, no, I can't do that. I'm actually going to be doing something else on Sunday. What are you doing? Nothing. I'd rather do nothing than be with you, right? It's just the way it comes across. But it's more important to me to be by myself and somewhere else than to be here with you helping on that, because it is, and I'm okay to disappoint you, right? It is hard. It's hard to say no. It is hard to say no, but it's worth it. So here, you want a trick on how to say no to this stuff? Here's the trick. You, instead of saying no, you say, I have something else scheduled at that time. And then you don't have to tell them what it is. It's like, I have something else scheduled at that time. Oh, you got a different time for it? Oh, maybe. Let's find another time for that. And the thing that you have scheduled is dinner with the family, is time watching your anime, is spending time, going for a walk. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Instead of saying no, which you get defensive and what happened and why are you going to say that, blah, just go, I have something scheduled at that time. And then people usually will back off. Especially recovering people pleaser, it can be so hard to say no. It is really hard to say no. But once you get used to it, it becomes really easy. It becomes a habit. No, I say no to things in advance. Like, and by the way, I won't be doing anything. Feels good sometimes. Translation: this isn't supposed to be a burden, it's a gift. There you go. That is the moral of the story. To answer the question from 100 years ago, what are you supposed to do? Well, do things that are a gift to you and filling you and joyful and community oriented and loving and God pointing as the things that are becoming or going to be a burden to you, right? That's my nappy time. Yeah. And there'd be people who don't understand that. but who cares, right? I can serve better after having a nap than not. It's easy to feel like saying no is letting someone down, but neglecting our spirit and mental health is letting us down. Well, there is the caregiver's problem, right? So this is true of nurses. This is true of people who have sick, family members, is that they feel bad if they care for themselves. They give all their energy to the sick person, to the old person, to the whatever the thing is, the problem person that's in their life. And so they're giving and they're giving and they're giving and they're giving, and they're living on their own. Like they'll make food for that person and then go like rush some soup down their throat so they don't die. And then they'll go serve that person, and then they'll go and they'll have like a 10-minute nap so they don't die. And they serve. And then you tell that person you're burning out. And for them, it feels like a betrayal. They feel like they're betraying the person they love just so they can go for a break, so they can get a nap, so they can get time to themselves, so they can take a Sabbath, so they can take a rest. They don't feel like they're just like having a rest. They feel like they're betraying someone. And if they have someone who has like, say, bad, isn't great that they're caring for, then that person will make them feel even worse for it. And it's really hard. And so therefore they feel a sense of it's wrong for me to go and take care of myself and have a rest and go shopping and buy myself some shoes and like that'd be wrong. I should be here caring for. It's hard. It's hard for them to do, but you have to teach them to do it, and you have to give them the permission to say, no, I'm going out. I have to go do that. And I have to figure it out, because otherwise you won't be able to care. And that's the moral of the story for the caregiver, is you are going to be a better caregiver if you fill yourself up. If you are living at the bottom of the cup and always living on that bottom little dregs there, nobody's happy. You're not happy. They're not happy. You're doing the bare minimum for them. You fill yourself up, take time to fill yourself up, you will actually do a better job caregiving. You'll come from a better place. You'll be more loving. You'll be more rested. You'll be more thought out, right? You'll be better. You can't, exact same thing with pastors or teachers or nurses or content creators. Yeah. We changed. That was this one. Now we're doing something else. The relaxed, do not neglect yourself as you care for others. You have to care for others. The greatest in the kingdom are servants. Jesus came as a servant. He taught us to be servants. We are slaves to righteousness. We are servants. That is our primary goal, serve. And we serve the world, and we serve our enemies. And that's what we do. We're Christians. Hey, but we also have the right to rest, and we have the right to choose our service, and we have the right to refuse service to people who it'll be bad for, right? Like, we're not going to serve you the bad thing. We're going to do what's best for you because we love you. But at the same time, we know that we are finite. We work within God's strength. And therefore, every time that we try to live and work out of strength we don't have, we're basically saying that we're trying to steal it from the future. We're trying to steal it from ourselves. We're stealing it from someplace it doesn't, and we're not trusting that God can take it from there, right? So we need to do it. It's an act of faith. It's the same as a farmer, man. Like you to get a farmer, cuts the row, throws down the seeds, covers up the seeds, and now the farmer is forced just by nature to wait. It's like he has no control. He can't make the sun shine. He can't make the water fall, right? He can get some irrigation in there. He can't make the sun shine. But if in our scenario, someone who can't stop, what's he going to do to those seeds? He's going to be out there yelling at the seeds. He's going to be out there, trying to grab the little sprouts and kind of make them bigger on there. Let's go, because you'd be like, you are deeply unhealthy. Right? That is not how you grow things. You're not doing that right. You're just going to have to chill, man. Wait. Let the earth, let the water, let the sun, let time do its work. And they'd be like, yeah, farm, good. But we need to do that too. Us too. Yeah, we got to fill up our buckets. Exactly. Very, very good. Sometimes I'll say dinner with my family is a non-negotiable. It's amazing to be able to answer. Yeah. Oh, who's lying to people? Sorry, I missed something. I'll be completely honest. I haven't genuinely relaxed in a good bit. And it's hard. Some people, it doesn't come naturally. Some people, laziness is the, like the motion at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by another force, right? That's their normal, right? Their potential energy is what they're full of. And for some people, you know, an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by another force. You know, for them, kinetic energy is their normal. And so therefore, when you try to get them to convert their kinetic energy into potential energy, it's not natural, right? It's like a rock rolling downhill for them and trying to stop. It's like, you know, stopping, I'm a rock, I'm downhill. I don't have brakes. And you have to teach them, yes, you do. There is a way for you to stop. In the same way that you have to teach the person who is lazy and stagnant and, you know, kind of working, pulling from others, that they do have gifts and they do have abilities and they do have potential and they do have something that they can serve people with, and they do have people that need them. You know, nobody needs me. They do need you. Oh, I'm not good at anything. You are good at stuff, right? You have to teach them how to do that. It works both sides, right? The people who don't do stuff, you got to teach them that they have value, and the people that think that their only value comes in if they continue to do things, you have to teach them that it's not. What's the lying thing? I missed something. It sounds like an interesting conversation. Who's lying about what now? Zach says, I'd rather be honest and say I just take Sunday's rest, so I won't be joining you today. I mean, yeah. That's a way to do it. I was just saying there's a smoother way to do it. There's a smoother way to do it, right? I have something else scheduled that day. Isn't a lie. It's just they don't need to know what is scheduled. None of their business, right? Because other people, well, what is it? Right? Let's negotiate. How long do you need? Can you eat for only 45 minutes with your family? Does that count? And you're like, that is definitely not the spirit of what we're going for. And you are not my boss, and you are not going to get allowed to do that. And I have said, I can't make it. Right? Sometimes you got to flex those boundaries, but it's easier when you're like, nope, I got to, swath. Sorry, those 3 hours are booked. We have to find a different time. People are used to that. Yeah, and it could be time with yourself. It could be watching your favorite anime. It could be reading a book. It could be having a nap. It doesn't have to be just for you. Self-care, self-care. You don't have to tell them that. You just got to say, hey, I got another time, another thing to do that time. Right? I walk in this, I get asked why I'm not on the worship team all the time. I have to say, no, I'm serving all week. I really need Sunday with the Lord. Yeah. Because some people just can't not. So that's good that you do that. I just tell people I have too much on my plate. See that? But then that's, it's basically that's like saying, but I'm busy sinning that right now. So I just can't fit in service because I'm sinning. Sorry. And that's how they're going to hear it, right? It's too much on your plate implies that you have too much on your plate and you need to remove some stuff from your plate. That's the implication, Yeah, nothing wrong with self-care time. And no thanks is many people are fine with no thanks, but some people, they need to be told something else. Okay, see you next week. Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's do that. What are you doing? Well, I'm expending energy the Lord never gave me, and I'm doing things the Lord never told me to do, and I'm taking jobs from other people that He told them to do, and I am ruining my future and ruining my relationships and ruining my ability to function, and also not serving and trying to take control out of God's hands. That's what I'm doing when I'm busy. Too busy. And you're right. It's a good example. I mean, if they're willing to take it. Exactly. And yet for a generation raised on 24/7 connectivity, the idea of intentionally logging off even for a few hours feels less like a gift and more like social suicide. Maybe, kind of. But what I find is that people are super duper addicted to their phone to the place where I get reprimanded if I don't have it. Like I'll be out at the store, take my kid to the store, like somebody, we're off at the mall or whatever, and like, Dad, where's your phone? I'm at home, right? We're just going to Walmart. Like I don't need my phone, and quite frankly, I don't want to get a phone call right now. Well, what if you like? I don't want my phone. I don't want connection, right? I put it on silent and I put it into my bed, and I'm gonna go watch a show or something, or hang out with you guys, or at dinner time. Oh, freaking! There's the battle. Trying to get them to put their phone down for dinner, dude. The next 45 minutes, do not look at your phone, right? Just don't be here. Just be here. And you just see them, they're like their gravity is pulling them towards the phone, like as though they're going to miss something. Like they're 911, like they think they're 911. They're not. You are not an ambulance. You are not a fire truck. Put down the phone. What kind of relaxing games do you recommend? I mean, that's going to be different for everybody. I know people that are like, you know what makes me relaxed? Phasmophobia. I really love shooting people. That just chills me out. I like to play Amnesia for fun. But there are some cozy games out there that are really, really cool. So it depends on what you're into, right? Like there's a game called Townscaper. It is the chillest thing in the history of the world. It's kind of fun, There's I have another one I was playing called Station to Station, where you just draw train tracks, and that's fun. There's another one called Tiny Castle, I think, and you just build a castle. They're very, very chill. A lot of chill games out there, but for some people that would be torture, actual torture, right? Yeah, things that aren't competitive. I would suggest those three. Try Townscaper, try Tiny Castle. Tiny Castle. Let me just make sure I got that right. Tiny Glade. It's called Tiny Glade. And you just make a little castle, man. It's super cute. You need one hand. You don't need to just like this. Just play like this, and that did nothing. Just move your wrist left and right. It's very, very chill. And the other one, the Townscaper, is also very cool. Right? It's just you building, and you go pop, 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 and things happen. If you like building in Sims, this is for you, man. It's super fun. Right? It really is super fun. I'll show you since we're on it. The other day I needed zone out, so I played Power Watch Simulator. That's another good one. For sure. Let's grab that one. Pause the Spotify. Back here. Let's go. We'll start a new one. New. And this is it, man. You zoom in, and then you go like that, and you get another one. Make a little thing, and you do that. Well, I want a house here. And you can look at the house. Look at the house. And put another one there. What if I make the house bigger? Now it's kind of like a little tower. Oh, that's pretty cool. What if I give it an entryway? Entryway now, 2 chimneys. That's cool. What if I do this? Oh, wow, that's fun. Look at that. And the sounds are awesome. Yeah, they're really good. It's just so cute, Like, just pop, 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 boop. For that. Make a whole pier. There you go. Yeah. So this game is super fun. Tiny Glade is another. I'll show you Tiny Glade. Yep, Tiny Glade. Lego Builder. There's actually I have one through Epic. If you got it free, maybe you got it free, called Lego. Yeah, play Tiny Glade. Yeah, please just play it. Lego, what's it called? No, I think it's on Epic. Lego Puzzle, Lego something. And it's so chill. It is the chillest chill in the history of chill, man. Yeah, all right. I can show you that one next. Let me turn on EA. Wrong. Epic. Dang it. Yeah. Currently working at more of an admin position. Okay, sorry, I missed something. I'm busy looking. Townscaper on console. I think it's a lot of places. I really do. I think not sure Tiny Glade is though. I don't know, but I think Townscaper is a bunch of places. Boy, it's taking a little while. This is super. It's really RTX though, man. Like if you look at this thing, it is extremely detailed. Like it's very cool, right? But you can do a lot of stuff. It's so fun. Whoops. Make it a little bigger. Grab that wall. Make it a little bigger. You can go inside. I don't know. It's fun. You can delete some land. Yeah, this is such a chill game. And and it's got time, right? So that you end up doing stuff at night. It's very fun. It's again, it's one of those games that if you're not into the really chill stuff, like really trying to, like, there's no purpose, there's no end, there's no goal, there's no points, there's no nothing. If you're not into that, then you're not going to like that game. All right, what this one here? I think is Lego. Do I have it installed? Lego. Uh-oh. Where's my Lego game? Is it an Amazon? You're not a real gamer. Yeah, and there are sheep. Yeah, little animals. Yeah. What other things do I have? Oh, maybe it's GOG. Are you the Lego game? If you guys aren't getting your Amazon Prime games, I recommend it. I've gotten probably 300 free games through Amazon Prime, and you get to keep them. Right? Definitely not EA. No, not EA. There's Station to Station. That one was kind of fun. I played Trinity Fusion yesterday for like 5 minutes. There's that Wall World that Wiz was talking about. These are all free, man. They're all free. Very extremely. If you have Prime, you should be getting it. All right, where all games search. Where's my search? Not all those games. All my own games. Own games. Search. Lego. Lego Builder's Journey. That's what it's called. Cool. Yeah. And this one is extremely pretty. Like, it's such a soft game. Like, the lighting is soft and everything is soft. It's all just soft. And everything is slow. Like, really, really slow. It is under Epic. I knew it was. Epic's such a bad. It's so bad. Like, what the heck? Oh, that's because I had co-op. Dude, no, not co-op. There, Lego. Launch. Cheapers. It is software. It is software. It's a very soft game. I don't know. Download to machine. I live in a large country, so we cover only one country with other agencies helping other cover the load. Oh, wow. I'm going to get my brain rolled back to ambulance service. What is your address? That'd be no good. That'd be no good. I remember I worked somewhere. I can't remember where. It was a long time ago, but it got me in the habit of answering a phone, and I answered the phone at home with that. And, like, my mom's like, what is wrong with you? Like the genius this game is, Epic launched it on my vertical screen. Like, I have a screen on this side here that is in portrait mode. And Epic was like, you know what? That's probably the monitor you want it on, right? Am I wrong? Yeesh. There we go. Continue. I do not remember anything. But if you look at the actual game, like it looks very Lego-y. You know how Lego-y it is? Super Lego-y. And your job is to get this guy and you build like Lego here. Except I don't remember how to play. Put it down. Do the thing. Yeah, those are the three. Yeah, to ask a question, those are the three that I recommend. I don't know why I took all that time to do that, but I did. And that's only because of those are the ones I played. And if I was gonna chill out, that's what I would chill out to. That's what I'd chill out to. Okay, that's the whole stream. If you enjoyed what we're doing today, like if you actually got something out of it and you enjoyed the conversation, it would be extremely helpful to me if you would tell a friend, and if you would !web and sign up for the newsletter and follow me on YouTube and all that stuff. It would mean worlds. Like the hardest thing in part of this job is discovery. So tell your church, tell your friend, tell your small group, tell your, that I just exist. And if you got something out of it, then yeah, that's the best way to pay me back. I'm going to raid out now. And we're gonna head over somewhere. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow's Thursday, Weird Thursday. So I'll be looking at weird pictures. I'm gonna try to find an indie game. Actually, no, we're gonna do Lego. We're gonna build, you know what we're building? Something really, really fun. Let's see if I can find it. Image. No, not there. Oh well. We're building a mini cafe. Gonna be fun. 30%. Yeah, go charge up, man. You need to at least be at 55 to get through the day. That's important. All right, we're gonna raid Wolfler. He's the man. Super good, super kind, super helpful. Just a really good guy. A good friend of the channel. Good friend to me. So come over and give him some love. Exclamation point. Yeah, sub raid if you're a sub, or raid if you're not. Big Lego, I ordered the Transformers Soundwave kit. Oh, sick, man. The instructions on this thing came with light. It said they had lights, and I don't remember it saying it has lights. So I'm like, oh, how do you, does it? I hope it does. All right, dudes. I'll see you later. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.